Hello. We are here. We have arrived. Ugh, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Sorry for the lack of stream yesterday. If you're in the Discord server, I talked about it a little bit. My fucking AC unit started flooding yesterday. It was ridiculous. I was doing some just general cleaning. Just trying to declutter the house a little bit. You know, we got too much shit that we absolutely do not need. Just floating around here, you know. And yeah, I was just trying to get rid of some stuff. And I was almost done. I was about to, I was literally like, I had like one more thing I wanted to do in my head, you know. I was like, let me knock this out real quick and then we'll be done and we'll go start up the stream. And I come out from the other room and I look in the hallway right here. Our air vent is right here, or our like the vent where you put your air filter is right here. So the AC condenser is right above it, right? I walk out of the bedroom into this hallway right out here, and I look, and there's just a fucking stream of water, just coming straight down from the ceiling onto the carpet. I was like, well, immediately I was like, well, no stream today. So that was a pain in the ass. Had to ran downstairs real quick and turned off the AC. And then, I mean, it wasn't like a big, how do I describe it? Not like a, I mean, it is a big issue. Like, obviously, you don't want your fucking ceiling leaking. You just don't want water damage in general in a house. But it wasn't like hard to deal with. It was just a big pain in the ass. I was up in the attic for like 3-4 hours, clearing that out. And it was the, it was a combination of like, our air filter was like probably like a month overdue to be replaced. So it was definitely dirtier than you should let your air filter get. My fault. And then also the condensation drainage lines, the primary and the secondary somehow. Well, I mean, not somehow. It kind of makes sense. Both of the condensation drain lines were both completely clogged up with like algae and mold and shit. So I had to cut those open, clear out the clogs, and then went and bought some connectors or some PVC connectors to, that way I'll have easier access next time that happens. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Hopefully. Whatever, yeah. Anyway, that's why there was no stream yesterday, even though there was supposed to be. We had a stream scheduled, and then I did not do it because I had to fucking stop my AC from leaking. That was fun. But we're good now. We're back on schedule. I did change the schedule in the Discord. If you ever look in the stream schedule Discord channel, I pushed all of them back for this week. That's not to say that I'm gonna start stream late every day. Like originally, I think when I released the stream schedule, it was supposed to be 12 to 4, like every day this week, and I pushed them all back to like 1:30 to 4. Because I think I'm gonna take this week. I think I'm gonna take like the rest of this week. What is it? What is today? Wednesday? Yeah. So like. I'm gonna take the rest of this week, as in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to just bang out stuff like that. Like I said yesterday before stream, I was just like I was going super hard, just decluttering the whole house because we just have way too much shit. I ended up filling up like 4 humongous trash bags of just stuff we just absolutely do not need. So I think I'm gonna take like the rest of this week in the mornings at least to do those types of things. So we might start stream a little bit later this week, but then after that, like once I just hang out some of that shit that is just like overdue to be done, then, you know, it'll go back to normal 12 to 4 every day until school starts in August, until the semester starts in August. And then at that point, stream schedule will change. I'm going to have to build it around my class schedule. And then also, I'm going to have to see how much like free time I need to for like studying and homework and shit like that, you know what I mean? So schedule like for at least until from like next week until like towards the end of August, the stream schedule will be completely unchanged. 12 to 4 Monday through Friday, and then 10 to 1 on Saturday. Schedule will remain that for at least that like 2-month period. Okay. And then yeah, like I said, when school starts, it's gonna have to change, but I don't really know what that's going to look like yet. I mean, I know what my schedule is. Obviously, I'm registered for my class and stuff. So in terms of like when I definitely can't stream, I already know that because I know when I'll be in class. But I don't know. Hold on. You know what? I will give them credit. They've both been pretty good recently. I don't know if you guys have noticed, like the last like 2 or 3 streams, like they haven't really been barking too much. They've been pretty good recently. But Lucy wants to bark right now. Lucy, come here. Don't go to the window. The window never makes you feel good. Maybe I should just like keep the like blinds closed. The problem is we have like the like plasticky blinds. Not plastic. What the fuck even material is that? I don't know. We have like the blinds that can bend really easily, and she'll just go up and like push them, like, you know, move them out of the way with her nose and then look out the window anyway. Maybe I should get different blinds that she can't just like push out of the way super easy. That way when I'm streaming, we can close the blinds so the stuff outside doesn't like freak her out. Because that's what I mean, that's what happens. She'll look outside and see a person like walking their dog and tweak. So maybe we should change the blinds out so I can close them to where she can't do that. Anyway, what's going on, guys? What is there anything? Obviously, we're gonna do. If you were here the other day when we streamed, we did not really get any good conversations out of the TikTok debates. There was nobody that really wanted to actually like be serious and talk about anything other than. I think the main topic the other day for the TikTok debates was just I hate Israel, not me. But every single caller that came up was just like, let me tell you why Israel is Satan. I think there was one guy that said that word for word. He said Israel is Satan. Like, nice, okay. So we didn't really get any good combos. So hopefully that just goes differently today, and we do get some good combos. And then secondarily, like that just means we don't have any YouTube content right now, which is cringe and bad. I don't like not uploading. I want to upload every day. Like if I could, in a perfect world, I would daily upload, but nobody wants to be serious. So it sucks. Anyway, obviously, with that being said, we're going to do TikTok debates today. Have to, got to see if we can get some good combos in. But before I start up the TikTok live, is there anything we should look at? Is there anything we should cover? Is there anything like crazy that happened yesterday? Like, again, like I was very distracted yesterday. I don't even know if I opened fucking Twitter or anything yesterday at all. I was just so distracted by making sure my ceiling didn't collapse. The water day, I will say, there was like a little bit, but very, 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 very little water damage to the actual ceiling where the leak was coming from. Mainly because it was all just dropping straight through the air filter, which is kind of nice. I got lucky in that regard that it wasn't like soaking the actual ceiling. That would have been a nightmare. But that, like, there's a little spot where there's like, it was a little wet, but we pointed a fan at it for like 24 hours and just let it dry out. I just built this monster in my lap. Lovely. Anyway. Oh, my YouTube chat's not loading. New York mayor race was some good news, right? Yeah. We'll talk about that for a second. Hold on. My YouTube chat's not loading for me on my end, but I can see it in the like OBS preview. That's weird. Maybe I need to just refresh this page. But yes. So Mandani, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mandani won the primary in New York, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. I feel like there was a conversation. I don't know if anyone that's in chat right now remembered this, but there was a convo I had the other day, and I think I might have posted the whole convo to YouTube. I don't really remember. Hey, Jabuki Studios, I think if that's how that's pronounced. Thank you for the sub on YouTube. So there was a conversation I had the other day. I don't know if anyone in here remembers it, but the crux of this guy's argument was basically that Israel is Satan and that, like, they have complete control of our entire government. Like, Israel controls the entire United States government. And then I said, okay, if that's the case, how in the metric motherfuck did Ilhan Omar? How in the hell did she win her election? Like, how did she pull that off? She must be Jesus or something to have won an election, even though she's like anti-Israel. And they, if Israel controls our whole government, then how the fuck did she win? That's crazy work. And his excuse was, well, what he said was, well, she won because her constituents, the people in that district, like really like her and they agree with her. I was like, yeah, you nailed it, buddy. That's right. If your constituents agree with you, you'll win. Huh, that's so weird. So, like, doesn't that kind of cut against the Israel controls everything argument? If you just really like a person, if you have a constituency, you have a district that, like, for whatever reason, that particular district just happens to have like really negative views on Israel, and you run as an anti-Israel candidate, you can win just fine. You'll have no issues. You'll probably win. You'll be all right. So doesn't that cut against the Israel controls everything argument? And point being, I feel like having that conversation now would be a little bit more funny now because Mamdani just won the DNC primary against Cuomo, who I think was supported by AIPAC, I believe. And yet Mamdani won because the constituency of New York showed up. They went out and they voted for him, and he won. He won the primary. Now he's still got to win the general, but I don't know how much of an issue he'll have. It's fucking New York, and he's generally speaking, whoever wins the DNC primary in New York is probably going to have at the very least they have a very large advantage. So he'll probably win. I'm hedging because that'd be there's a world in which he doesn't, but he'll probably win. Anywho, having that conversation now would be kind of funny because you have Mamdani, who I think the biggest accusation against him, not to say that I believe this or anything. Actually, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't live in New York, so I didn't really keep up with it. It is very interesting to see a candidate like him win a primary. That's telling. It says something. There's something there. There's something to be said for him being able to win that primary. But the biggest criticism of him that I see is that people seem to believe that he's anti-Semitic. People believe it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't know what he believes or what he says really at all. But that's I see that criticism popping up everywhere, right? And if that is the case, there's no way he should have been able to win, right? Israel should have been able to put a stop to that, right? I mean, obviously, those of us with brains in here know that the reason he's able to win is because Israel doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you can win an election. If your constituency likes you, then you're going to be just fine. You're going to be okay. Anywho. Yes, it is interesting to see that he won that primary. I think it's telling. It says something. It says that that people besides like the mainstream candidate can get a dub. Now, it's I don't know how much it says. Here, I'm gonna do a little bit of hedging here. So if you're a big Mamdani fan, you might not like this part. For some not good news from Florida, we are spending FEMA money to open alligator. I saw that alligator. Hold up, we're gonna watch that video in a second, bro. I saw that fucking propaganda video, the alligator Alcatraz thing. What in the fucking shit was that? We're gonna watch that in a second. Hold on, but I do want to make this point because I was thinking about this earlier, and I feel like I want to make this point, but we are gonna watch that. Hold on. Goddamn, it's doing it again. Your message didn't pop up in my like I didn't see it, but I could see it in the I can see it over there for some reason. What is going on? Why does YouTube do this? I don't see. I'm not seeing it like on my end on like the YouTube chat box, but I can see it obviously on the OBS preview. Not supporting the conspiracy sided people when it comes to AIPAC. I would say it's just that Cuomo, who is a known sex pest, still only had like 10% gap compared to Mamdani, but that's probably name recognition. Yeah, I would say that's 99.9% name recognition. Those are the voters that voted for Cuomo are for one, it's gonna be establishment voters, people that just don't I say establishment voters, but it's your like hardcore moderates, the people that are like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna vote for anyone as far left as Mamdani is. There's no chance. Like nope, not gonna happen. So those people probably voted Cuomo, and then what do you call it? Like not uninformed, but I mean kind of uninformed. Yeah, I would say uninformed. Like you're uninformed, or like your voters that don't really pay attention too much. Those people probably voted for Cuomo because the name recognition is there. So there's multiple reasons, but what I was gonna say was, and you actually kind of just made a decent point here, or you like, I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. What I wanted to say about Mamdani winning, the fact that he kind of barely won that primary, was it, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 52-48, I think, somewhere in that ballpark, 52-48, as I think that's what it ended up being. The fact that he only won by that margin against Cuomo, a notoriously bad person, not a good person, not a good human, bad man. That should potentially temper your expectations, because I know a lot of people are getting really high. I've seen it on Twitter a bunch, right, today. that a lot of people are getting super fucking hyped up right now. Like they're getting super like excited. Like, oh my god, if Mondani can win, then that means we can run progressive candidates across the whole country. We can, or even like, I say progressive, but even farther left. Like we can run our like socialist types all over the place, across the entire nation, and we can win these elections. Mondani barely beat a horrible person in a disgustingly blue city, like well over the majority blue city. He barely beat a horrible person. So if the lesson that you learn from that is that you should run the farthest left people you can find in every single district, in every single city, in every single governorship across the country, we're going to get ass fucked really bad. We're going to get annihilated. Okay. So that's not the lesson that we should learn here. Okay. There is a lesson that we should learn, but that's not it. Okay. There's lessons to be learned from this. That isn't the lesson. Okay. That's all I'm saying. The lesson is not, let's run our, the farthest left people we can find everywhere and hope for the best. That won't work. We'll get smoked. But the lesson is, in very blue places, if you have a moderate, if you have like a very strong moderate, just someone that's just like their opinions, their positions are like right down the middle, just like your most basic bitch Democrat, and you have someone like that sitting in a very, very blue district, you can probably put a very, very progressive person up against them and have a solid chance of winning. And so if that's the lesson we want to take, like, hey, maybe we should try to get some, maybe we should try to put some farther left people in these districts that are really blue that have like incumbent moderates. Maybe we should try to primary them with a farther left person. If that's the lesson you want to take, I'm on board. I agree with you completely. That seems to be the case that we could probably pull that off. In these places where we're in these very blue places where we just have like loser moderates sitting. Yeah, you could probably get them the fuck out of there. Yeah. I mean, they can maybe win a small number of blue cities in the country. Yeah, you can put your farther left people in these very blue cities and push out the moderates that are sitting there. Yeah, I completely agree. Focus funds to push candidates in 3 or 4 big cities if those are the people you're wanting, and make sure they're not shit crazy. That's always the important part. That's always very important. First thing you got to do is make sure they're not fucking psychos. And as long as that box is checked off, you should be okay. You should be fine. Okay. Anywho, this fucking alligator Alcatraz shit. What the fuck is this? Hold up. We're gonna start off. We're gonna watch this video. Okay. What is happening here? What is going on?
A story.
Hold on. What is this shit? I guess I'll take off the TikTok thing for now.
In 5 words.
Alligator Alcatraz for illegal aliens. Check it out.
Attorney General James Uthmeier here at the Miami-Dade Collier Training Facility. This is an old, virtually abandoned airport facility right in the middle of the Everglades. The governor tasked state leaders to identify places for new temporary detention facilities. I think this is the best one. As I call it, Alligator Alcatraz. This 30-square-mile area is completely surrounded.
So this is the Florida Attorney General in this video? That's who this guy is? Was it James Uthmeier? No shot. No chance. The fucking Florida AG. Attorney General James Uthmeier. Yeah, what the fuck? You got the Florida AG pushing this shit? Really? Huh. Oh, he was DeSantis's chief of staff before he was appointed AG. Okay. So he's just gonna fucking slurp up. He's gonna slurp up every last drop of fucking cum from DeSantis's cock. Okay, got it. All right. So whatever Daddy DeSantis wants. Got it.
Surrounded by the Everglades.
What the fuck?
Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. If people get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes, Congress.
Bruh. People get out. There's not much waiting for them besides alligators and pythons, he says. My God. The jails in Alaska are surrounded by bears. It's called nature. That's not the like weird thing here. That like the how do we phrase this? The concept of like allowing nature to kind of be your guardrails or your perimeter, your gate. That's not the issue. In fact, it is kind of smart. It's the fucking marketing here. The marketing is crazy. Alligator or Alcatraz, baby. Bruh. They're not putting the gators there. Yeah, obviously. That would be crazy. That'd be crazy work. Imagine they just haul in a bunch of fucking alligators and just let them loose. No, yeah, that's not the actual, the fact of the matter isn't crazy. The idea of like, we're going to build a prison in the middle of the Everglades. Like, okay, that's, all right. Yeah, I mean, that's smart in a way. I like how some prisons have guard geese based. Base. Join live. Gutfield jump scare. What? Oh, no, okay. Jesus, dude. Yeah, I don't know. This is wild. This is a wild story. So, this got approved, right? Did this got approved?
Controversial
this is
construction on the way for a detention facility. It's happening in the Everglades, and it's all for undocumented immigrants. Now, the facility is being called Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner. She joins us live from another ICE office in South Florida.
This is goofy
Morgan, it
as
appears
shit.
to be some momentum behind this plan.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Whether it's at work or showing up here for an appointment, the fear among some immigrants now is that they may end up in the middle of the Everglades. Take a look at this. Our Chopper 4 captured construction already underway. The plan is to build a temporary detention center, Miami-Dade's abandoned 39-square-mile airstrip in the Everglades within the next month or two. Authorities want to send 1,000 migrants there facing deportation. Alligators, mosquitoes, pythons surround the facility. Leaders call it security. Others see it as a potential environmental hazard. U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem celebrated the move as part of cost-effective and innovative ways to deliver mass deportations. The Attorney General of Florida calls it an efficient response to an illegal immigration emergency.
This presents a great opportunity for the state of Florida.
This threat, again, opens the door to some type of...
All right. We're getting some alligator Alcatraz. It's so fucking goofy. Only the ones planning to escape should be worried. At that point, they're going to be detained regardless. Who cares what's outside of the... I don't think it really matters. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys are hearing me. I'll say it again. I don't think where you put it and what's outside, like having nature be your like your gate isn't really an issue, right? It's like whatever. Who cares? But marketing it that way is crazy work, bro. That's crazy work. They're like, you know what? We're gonna. By the way, I saw someone said it in chat. Did you notice the news anchor said I call it Alligator Alcatraz? That wasn't the news anchor that said that. Hold on, the news anchor didn't say that. The fucking Florida Attorney General said that shit. Like,
and I do want to get to a developing story here out of Florida. In the U.S. illegal, the Everglades would be
isn't the fucking original
Alligator 9 square mile.
Give me the original video. Give me the original.
Also,
or maybe these guys will play it.
It's happening. Florida's Attorney General says construction has
God damn
started.
it. Why the fuck is this impossible to find? Well, they played it in this video. This guy.
Traz for illegal.
Miami-Dade Collier training facility. This is Uthmeyer here at the Miami-Dade Collier training facility. This is an old, virtually abandoned airport facility right in the middle of the Everglades. The governor tasked state leaders to identify places for new temporary detention facilities. I think this is the best one.
Music.
I call it Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, the fucking guy, the guy that picked the location, the Attorney General of Florida picked the name.
This 30 square.
I call it Alligator Alcatraz. All right, buddy. All right, whatever. It's. I mean, it is what it is. The fucking marketing on that is wild behavior. But whatever. Whatevs. That's so fucking goofy. if you make it out, you're graded by puppies. Theoretically, I feel like theoretically you would just build your prison in a way where you just can't escape, right? You think that's the AG? Lol. Okay, I guess we're gonna do this. I guess we're gonna do this. Car photography has like a he's got like a really weird history of just coming into my chat and saying stupid shit. Let's see.
Temporary detention facilities. I think clear training facility. This is
Check it out.
All right,
Attorney General James Uthmeyer here at the Miami.
I'm gonna replay it again. I'm gonna replay it probably 3 or 4 times. Okay, here. Okay, I forgot to put the screen back up. All right, I'm gonna play it 3 or 4 times. Okay.
Alligator
Listen,
Alcatraz
let's use our
for
ears.
illegal aliens. Check it out.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer here at the Miami-Dade Collier training facility.
Okay, I'm gonna play it again.
This is an oral James Uthmeyer.
Alligator Alcatraz for illegal aliens. Check it out.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer here at the Miami. Attorney General James Uthmeyer here at the Miami.
Check it out.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer here at the 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 Attorney General James Uthmeyer here. Attorney General James.
Okay. Would you like to make a retraction? Would you like to issue a retraction? Or what? Wait, is he an attorney general? Jesus Christ, brother. Jesus. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, that's wild. Attorney General James Uthmeyer is such a weird name. I can't believe there's a news anchor named that. I know, wild behavior. All right. Anyway, we're gonna start the. I'm gonna start the TikTok live now. Hopefully, we can get some people that want to debate shit. We'll see. We'll see. I wonder. Can we make some predictions? We make some predictions right now, chat. What are gonna be the things? I already started the TikTok live, by the way, but he might be. Can we make some predictions as to what the big topics of the day are gonna be? What are the things that people want to talk about the most gonna be? The other day when we streamed it was obviously the strikes on Iran, which was the most boring shit to talk about ever. So hopefully that's not the case today. I did say though, like I'm just not gonna let that be the case. If people are just like, well, what do you think about the Iran strikes? I'm just like, all right, next. Like, well, we're not doing it. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. Although that little Trump crash out moment the other day in that little Trump crash out moment the other day was fucking goated. That shit was hilarious. That clip was so good. I think someone sent the clip in my Discord so we can just come back to it over and over. Oh god, it was such a good clip. Hold on. This is a goated clip. Hold on. We have to watch it before we get started for the day. Before we get into it. We have to.
Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Damn, whoever fucking NBC censored the fuck. Rude. Don't censor the fuck. That's the best part. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's so good. That's such a good clip. It was beautiful. Is this the massive meltdown? I mean, it wasn't a massive meltdown. people that like I saw that framing and all the headlines. Trump has massive meltdown. It wasn't a massive melt. He was just it's just funny. Look at he was so pissed. I mean, like, fair enough. Like, obviously he was obviously gonna be pissed off because he literally just touted this fucking. He went on fucking Truth Social like right before that, or the night before that, and was touting the unprecedented ceasefire he managed to secure. It's like, oh my, I got a ceasefire in the Middle East. I'm the fucking peace president. And then like an hour after that, Israel's dropping bombs, Iran's shooting rockets. Of course he's gonna be pissed off. But that clip is so good, bro. I've already seen I've seen some gorgeous memes on like TikTok and shit with that clip. Oh man, the classic. There was no ceasefire. He made it up just like everything else. Yeah, I've heard that go back and forth. Well, I mean, Iran, like immediately right after he was tweeting that, got asked if there was, if they had agreed to the ceasefire, and didn't they immediately go like, what ceasefire? Like, we're not aware of any ceasefire. What are you talking about? So I don't know. We're not entry-level job, like first. Wait, what? He sounds like a manager in an entry-level job, or not entry-level job, like first job type job. God, he sounds like a manager. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's good. It's good. Oh, great. Listen to Iran. He says it right out. Says it right out loud. There's no ceasefire. I think he's like Iran like came out pretty soon after his posts on Truth Social and said they weren't aware of any ceasefire. But then like 45 minutes after that, they said they had agreed to a ceasefire. So I don't know. Either way, regardless of how it all came to be, that clip is absolutely goated. Anyway, enough with the Trump clip. We are here. We are ready to rumble. If there's any Trumples in my chat that would like to hash things out, that would like to debate the efficacy of a Trump presidency so far. If there's anyone interested in having that conversation, we are ready to rumble. By the way, appreciate all the follows so far on the live. I appreciate all the likes. If you want to fucking spam the shit out of your, or double tap the hell out your screen, that would be sick. Those of you that are watching on TikTok or frequently watch on TikTok, if you're here, I see the repeat names. Obviously, I see the what's a good word here that doesn't sound like rude. I was gonna say like repeat viewers, but the regulars. I see the regulars in chat. Those of you that are here a lot, I have a question. What do you prefer more, or what do you think is more efficacious in terms of just overall, like what is better? What is better? My old layout for the TikTok stream, the old layout, where I just had the whole screen was just my camera. The entire screen was just camera, and then I just had like the little text with the debate topic over my head, or this current screen with the camera being a little smaller and then the little like rotating thing back, down below me. Like, what do we think is better overall? I want to get some opinions here because I could pretty easily change it back. I actually should have just made a second source. I should have just had a second source where I could instantly change it, but yeah. Comments were easier to read with the old layout. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I could see that, right? Because the white font makes comments hard to read. Okay. The white font. Okay, actually, hold up. Let me get my notepad out. These are the types of things I don't really think about because I'm not seeing it from the same point of view you guys see it from, right? So let's see. White font bad. White font bad. Comments hard to read. What do we think? What do we think about that? What would make it better? What would make it better? Toss me some improvements. Should I just change the font to a different color other than white? Should what's the move here? Toss some suggestions my way. We'll figure it out. I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, that totally makes sense because you get the chat is like bottom up, right? So yeah, you're gonna have a really rough time. It's easier to read over that black and blue outlines. Okay, okay, all right. Black and blue, easier to read. Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's, you guys are making good points. I didn't really think about that too much. I was also thinking about condensing, like super condensing all of this to be much, much smaller and just kind of go back to the old setup where it was like mostly camera and then the thing over my head, but then just have the thing over my head be like alternating like that. There's a couple ways we can do it, but I appreciate the feedback because yeah, the chat thing is not something I would have thought of because I don't see the stream from the same point of view that you guys see it from. So much appreciated. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm gonna hop on my second account and like hop in the live and look at it. Because yeah, that's just not something I thought of. Oh yeah, I can totally see what you guys are talking. Okay. Yeah, that's rough. Okay. Yeah, cool. We'll change that up. You're totally right. That is not great from like this point of view. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's an easy change. All right, thanks guys. Yeah, I'll get that fixed up. Wouldn't have thought of, or I hadn't thought about that. Probably wouldn't have thought about it. But yeah, I'll get that changed up. Thank you. Should we go with the OG for today then until I can get that fixed up? Should we do that? Stay away from red, white, blue, gradient font fill from your title message. Wait, what? I don't know what that meant. Are you saying like the thing below me right here for you? Like the thing about like change the gradient? I did think I have thought that that's probably like a little bit harder to read. Like, yeah, you'll get better engagement if comments are easier to read. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. That does, like, I'm looking at it on my other account now, like on my phone. Like it definitely, the chat is hard as fuck to read with that there. You guys are super right about that. Okay. On YouTube, yes. Okay. Yeah, I can I kind of get that position too. That probably is a little bit harder to read, yeah. Okay. Hold up. I'm gonna write this down too. I'm gonna put this for TikTok. And then for YouTube, change gradient font. Okay, cool. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, if you guys have like, if there's stuff like that that's like little things that can be changed to make it, to just make the setups better on both platforms, then I'd appreciate the letting me know that. Okay. All right, hold up. I'm gonna restart the. I'm gonna end the TikTok live for just like 2-3 minutes. Make that change real quick. Or I'm gonna change it back to my old setup for today until I can change the graphic down here, or until I can, make the necessary changes to the graphic. But yeah, I'm gonna switch back to my old setup because you guys are totally right. Like chat is like fucking impossible to read. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that's like unreadable and like completely unreadable. Okay, so I'm gonna end the live real quick, change back to my old format, and then we'll come back. Okay, be right back, TikTok people. All right. As for YouTube and Twitch people, I'm not gonna end the fucking stream just to make that change, but I will make that change. That's a good point, Sergio. That is hard to read. I thought of that before. I was like, this is probably like for the viewers, it's probably like a little bit rough to read on your screen. So, all right, good calls. Good calls. This is why I appreciate y'all. Tell me what's fucked up, and we'll get it fixed up. As for the TikTok live, let's get this fixed up real quick. So I'm gonna remove that. I'm going to go full cam. Yeah, I'm gonna go full cam. I'm gonna leave this like bottom part like completely blank for now. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this bottom like very blank for now. And then we'll figure something out with this later. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure something out with that later. And then let me get the text back up. I forget what the text says. Or what it said before. Let's see. Text, add. What did this shit say before? Do a solid color block at the bottom, maybe red or blue, and have a solid white font. Okay. I feel you. Yeah, I'll do something like that's like less vibrant, like, or like, you know, just easier to read. Trump keeps saying America is protecting Canada. Can anyone tell me from what? Since America is the only country in history that has ever threatened Canada, I wonder how Canada is being protected. Yeah, I don't, like, when he says that, he's completely posturing. We're not protecting Canada from anything. Mainly because there is no... Canada is a super, super safe country for the same reason that America is. The fucking oceans that separate us from the rest of the world. Honest to God, America probably is the biggest threat to Canada. America probably, honest to God, America probably is the singular greatest threat to Canada. Just in the sense that they have, you know, in a war scenario, they'd have a extraordinarily large advantage against every other country. For one, in that they have a fucking, they got oceans. The oceans around them add a humongous advantage. And then secondarily, there's like almost no universe in which America, being Canada's neighbor, would allow like a foreign nation to come in and invade Canada and like take it over. Like we just probably wouldn't stand for that. I say probably because you never know with Trump in office. But generally speaking, we're not going to let a foreign country, you know, we're not just going to stand by on, you know, sit on our hands and do nothing while a foreign country invades Canada. We would never, that's just not something we would do. So if it were to happen, America would step in and help, and you know, Canada would be just fine. But obviously, if it's America doing the invading, Canada's probably going to have a rough time, right? So generally speaking, yep, there's a good chance that the biggest threat to Canada is America. All right, what do I put for this text on TikTok, like for the topic? I forget what it was before, like Trump is destroying the constitutional order or something. I don't know. Trump is... I'll change it back to that. Okay. Center the text. Boop. And boop. And boop. Okay. All right. That should be good. That works. Okay, cool. Source. And hold on, center this up. Okay. All right, before I restart the TikTok live, which I'm about to do, before I get this popping again, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. And then we'll get it started. Hold up, I'm trying to get all this shit aligned. Okay, we should be good. Yeah, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and then we'll get it popping. All right. Canada would be fine. They've defeated the US in war twice already. In a perfect world, we would never have to find out. The US would just never try to fucking invade Canada. To be fair, like when you're invading a nation, you are almost always at a disadvantage. The defending country is pretty much going to have a humongous advantage every single time. Okay. Be right back. I really wish he hasn't shown back up. Have any of you that are watching on like YouTube or Twitch, in a perfect world, we'd have conquered them ages ago. True and based. Did any of you guys that are here right now on Twitch or YouTube, have any of you watched this video that I released? Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. This video right here. I think it was, well shit, I'm going based on just thumbnails. This one, yes. Have any of you watched this video right here? This Trumple admits he got his argument from ChatGPT. Have any of you watched this? Why are you listen to the end of this video?
But I guess the intent behind.
Why does it say shall be issued through the governor? Why does it say that if it's not a requirement?
Well, then I need to reread it then.
I would agree.
Yeah. Let me hop back on.
Okay. This guy said he was gonna study up on the topic we were debating. So we were debating whether or not the Trump's deployment of the National Guard was statutorily legal or not. His deployment of the National Guard to California, whether or not it was statutorily legal. And at some point in that conversation, he's like, I'm like, what are you reading right now? And he's like, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm reading ChatGPT, which was that in and of itself was kind of fucking hilarious. But then like a couple hours after that conversation, after I ended streaming and everything, he DM'd me and like sent me a SCOTUS case that he thought backed up his argument. It did not. It was completely that case. The ruling in that case was completely in my favor. He just doesn't know how to read Supreme Court cases. And he said he was going to come back on. Like, I didn't want to inform him of that. Like, I didn't want to say in the DMs like, oh, by the way, like I think you're misreading that fucking case, bro. That supports my argument, not yours. I didn't even say that. I was just like, okay, if that's what if that's your evidence for your claim, come back onto my stream and let's go. And he said he would, and he never has. I'm pissed. I want that guy to come back, bro. I want to have that conversation, especially if he tries to use Pepperidge as like support for his argument. The way it was done was legal. I was concerned it was going to violate posse comitatus, but it didn't. It wasn't legal. But we can have that discussion if you want. All right, I'll be back. I do, like I said, I have to go to the bathroom and then I'm gonna start the live again. BRB. You guys see the dogs just chilling back here? Hold up. You see these two just vibing out? This is bro, they're vibing so fucking hard right now. They're tired. It's nap time. It is 1/2 motherfucking nap time for these two clowns. All right, let's start the live back up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like redo my. I'm gonna have to massively redo. I'm gonna have to massively redo my TikTok live setup. I don't know how people like. I just don't. I don't love the layout on TikTok. You know, I don't love it. It's so cluttered, you know, which I understand. Like, I think, like, you know, when TikTok like really shoots for like maximum engagement, which I understand. I totally understand. I absolutely get it. Okay, I do. But the screen is so cluttered. Like, I'm like watching this live on my second account, so I can see what you guys see. Like, you know, I want to be able to see what it looks like on your guys' end, so I can kind of have a better gauge of what I need to do, where I need to place things, you know? Just this fucking platform, brother. It's so cluttered. Yeah, this looks way better. Yeah, I mean, this isn't like going to be like the final outcome. Like, I'll still make changes from this, but just not right now. All right, I'm going to move this down a little bit because it is covered by stuff. Move everything down slightly. But yeah, I mean, this is like the best I can do on super short notice. I'm going to change everything up. I'm going to change stuff up where I can kind of have the way, you know, I can have stuff in the way I want. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not great. The way TikTok just kind of clutters up your screen. But I get it. TikTok stream UI is horrendous. That's what I'm saying, dude. It's so goofy. It's just that there's just too much. There's too much stuff on screen. Let's look at what I'm looking at right here. So you got like your name and then the amount of likes on the live up in the top left, right? Fine. Then you've got like the topics listed. Then you've got the gift goal listed. Then you've got some like random fucking TikTok stream challenge thing up there. And then you've got the viewer count in the corner, chats flowing up through the bottom. Yeah, it's just, there's so much shit. It's just rough. It's just rough. The portrait layout is rough. Hard to get the stuff you want to have like on screen into the frame without like having it be covered up or, you know, messed up by other stuff. It's rough. But whatever. None of that really matters. We're here. None of that really matters. Anyway, this is the layout we're going to run with for today. We'll obviously change it up. Jim Barkley, thank you for the subscribe, for the sub on YouTube. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Jim. What did I set the member goal to on YouTube? Can you, by the way, those of you watching on YouTube and Twitch, can you see that up there in the top left? Or is it like kind of like cut out a frame where you can't really see it? I didn't really know where to put it. I just kind of tossed it up there. And I don't know if it's like, okay, well, 2 questions. Is it cut out of frame? Can you even see it really at all? Is it like visible? And then 2, is it too small to where you can't even like really read what it says? Is it too small? And can you really even see it at all? Those are my questions. Anyway, TikTok viewers, welcome back. Welcome back. Sorry about the refresh of the live. The last UI, or the way I had my stream set up before was just, you couldn't really see anything. So figured we'd refresh the live. And we're back. Millie, thank you for the follow on TikTok. I appreciate you. By the way, guys, how many followers do we need every day? So I did a, just because I was curious, I'm a numbers guy, you know, I just like my numbers. And I made like a little goals thing, right? So I made like a little thing of goals for every platform, right? Like the amount of followers or subscribers, you know, whatever it's called on each platform. The amount that I want to have by the end of 2025. Do you use TikTok Live Studio? Yes, I do. The amount that I want to have by the end of 2025, right? So for TikTok, 35K is the goal. I want to be at 35,000 followers by the end of 2025. So in the next almost 6 months, right? Or around 6 months. To hit that, we would need to gain 111 followers per day on average. 111. That's not bad. Okay. So hit the follow button. Are we debating or yapping? Well, we're yapping until someone has a spine and clicks the clicks the button to come up. But until one of you grows a spinal cord, we're gonna yap. See how long that takes. See how long it takes for someone to grow a pair. Although I will request up my second account real quick so that it's easier. Oh wait, never mind. I don't even need to. I was going to request up my second account so it's easier for y'all to see the request button, but I have no need. Hello?
Hello.
What's going on? What you want to talk about?
Basically, so you're Democratic, right?
Your mic is terrible. I can't understand anything you're saying.
I say you're a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to give my opinion why I voted Donald Trump, and you tell me what you think.
I still can't. I can't really understand what you're saying. Your mic is like super bad. There's a lot of background noise. Can you like get closer to your mic maybe, or what I don't know what's going on here.
My phone's on my face. I don't know.
Okay,
what
there you go. No, you sound better now. I don't know. Yeah, you sound good. All right, go. You said you want to give your reason why you voted for Trump. Go for it.
Yeah. So I voted for Trump because he's a man, and a woman cannot run this country.
Okay, it's just the sexism argument. That's cool.
It's not really sexism if you think about it.
All right, I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm still coming to the conclusion that it's sexism.
And why is that?
Well, let's see. I would describe sexism as believing that women are inferior to men. Well, you just said. You just okay. Well, then there you go. I mean, so why? I don't understand why you would even like waste your own oxygen saying it's not sexism, and then I say, well, you think that women are inferior to men, and then you're like, yeah, I do think that. Why would you waste your oxygen? Like, oxygen's a vital resource. Why the fuck are you wasting it right now? So you're sexist. What do you want? What? Okay, next. What do you want? Next point. Sexism. Got it.
The thing is, you gotta listen and not talk over me when I'm talking.
Do you think that women are inferior to men?
Well, it's just facts. It's facts.
Okay, so you're sexist. Okay, next point. Do you have something else to say of use, or is that it? Is your worldview based on women are worse than men? Or do you have something else to add to the conversation?
It's not that they're worse. It's about running a damn country.
You're not. Okay, do you have like a point to make, or what? Like,
I mean, yeah, like I said, women are emotional. They can't run a country. They don't have any ability to run a country. They would fold under pressure. It's all the above.
You don't think men are emotional too?
No, not Trump.
Not Trump. Did you see that? You see the little clip of Trump popping off about Israel and Iran the other day after they broke the ceasefire that he made up?
That's not emotional. That's facts. That's factual.
It's not emotional to like burst out and it's not like to have like a rage outburst on live TV. That's not emotion.
Do you know what the definition of emotional is?
Do you think anger is an emotion?
It's not emotional.
So anger is not an emotion?
No, because it's a propositional of interrogational. So if you think about it, none of that would ever happen because if you have Kamala in office, she would fold under pressure, she would give up, vice president would have to take over, and she would just go back in hiding.
Your evidence for that is what?
She's a woman.
So sexism?
It's not sexism, it's just factual. We don't have any arguments to say.
I just don't understand. There is the only argument to, like, your argument is women can't do things men can do. That's yeah. But it's like it's just that there's nothing behind it. It's just she's a woman. So my question to you would be, I just asked it, so there's no point in asking again. But my question to you would be like, what kind of evidence do you have at your disposal to back that up? And if all of your evidence is because she's a woman. Okay, you've won. Congratulations. But the only thing you've won is the sexist label. Like, but you don't. That's it.
But this is the thing. All right. So, what do you think Kamala Harris would have done in Trump's position? The same thing, right? Or what?
What position? Like on what topic?
With Iran and Israel.
What do I think she would have done?
Yeah.
I mean, she stood pretty firm. She made her opinion clear that she also has the same opinion that Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. So if it was the case that there was no other way to stop their nuclear weapons program besides striking it, then she probably would have struck it. But the problem is the problem with that logic is that I don't believe that. I don't think the only option left on the table is to strike their program. The reason I believe that is because we had the JCPOA, and during that time that the JCPOA was in effect, Iran's nuclear program was at a full stop. They weren't trying to build weapons. They took the deal. They agreed to the deal. They followed the terms of the deal by all available intelligence. And so my guess would be her way of dealing with the situation would have been to try to get us back into a similar type deal with Iran. But obviously you can't have that expectation. You don't expect Trump to actually get us a nuclear deal when he's the guy that tore up the last nuclear deal.
He actually didn't.
He didn't tear up the last nuclear deal.
No, but it's in the law of affirmation, if you know what that is.
He didn't. I need a firm yes or no. He did not get rid of the last nuclear deal. He didn't do that.
No.
Okay.
It's a law of affirmation, sir. If you know what that is. You're pretty young, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But you got to do some research.
I would say that you need to do some research if you're going to tell me a firm hard no that Trump did not get rid of the JCPOA.
So would you vote for any Democratic that's running for president?
Would I vote for any Democratic that's running for president?
Yeah.
Well, Democratic, what do you mean when you say Democratic?
Because you said you're a Democrat, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you to use like the correct research. Or the correct research, sorry, the correct phrase.
What the hell are you talking about, boy? You don't even know what the hell you're talking about no more, boy.
Well, I was reading chat while trying to talk to you. That was my mistake. But I'm trying to get you to use, he just left. That's great. Nice. I said the wrong word and he was like, this is my excuse. This is the perfect time to get the fuck out of here. By the way, this dude said, I just want to point this out. I'll bring up the next guest in just a second. We're going to just point this out real quick. Just a cursory Google search here. Just a cursory Google search. Who got rid of the JCPOA? U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. President Donald Trump officially exited the JCPOA on May 8th, 2018. Okay. Anyway, moving on to the next guest. Oh, real quick, I have to clear my hard drive on my other computer because I still have all the research from, or not. I keep saying research because whatever he's like, you need to do your research. I'm like, brother, I think you do. Holy shit. Okay. Okay. I guess I already did clear my hard drive. I don't remember doing that. But I had all the recordings from yesterday's live. Oh wait, I didn't go live yesterday. The day before yesterday, before my ceiling started fucking collapsing on me. I did not mean to just change screens. Son of a bitch. I meant to bring up the next guest. This kid is doing nothing but pushing misinformation. All right, get up here. You kicked me. I did not kick you. How's it going?
Hey, hey, what's up?
Not much.
So I come up to say that Trump about the Constitution, it's only telling half the story because the House of Representatives is also breaking the Constitution by not impeaching him.
Yeah, that's really stupid.
And your mother's a dirty hooker, right?
Why is the House breaking the Constitution by not impeaching him?
Okay, so if someone schmurders someone and the judge lets him go, the judge is kind of equally as guilty. Kind of.
Kind of is doing a lot of heavy lifting for you, but okay, I see where you're going.
Okay, so that's the premise. Have you heard of a unitary executive theory?
Yeah, we're not going to pivot though. We're going to stay on this. We're going to stay on this House stuff. Okay. So the main difference here that's going to kill your entire argument is that, yeah, I would actually almost agree with you in the criminal court context, right? Where if it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt, absolutely that like a defendant was guilty of murder, right? And the judge found some slimy shithole way to get him off because of, I don't know, for whatever reason, make up a reason. He wanted to let him go. So he found a way to let him go for it. I would say, again, the word kind of is doing a lot of heavy lifting, but kind of he's responsible for that murder, or at the very least, letting that murder go unpunished, right? Totally agree with you on that, at least. The difference when it comes to impeachment is that impeachment is inherently a political process. There's no rules for impeachment. There's no requirements for impeachment. You don't have to be impeached technically you don't have to be impeached for anything. You could do whatever you want. You could do the most unhinged, crazy shit that you could imagine and not be impeached for it.
Okay, let me jump in.
Just like you could do pretty much nothing wrong. You could fucking tie your shoe in a way that people don't like, and the House could impeach you for it.
Okay,
it's political. Right, they can do whatever they want.
Sure. So whether Trump is acting constitutionally or not really doesn't matter because there's no remedy for it. So to say that he's acting unconstitutionally in your scenario means absolutely nothing.
I'm gonna have to hard disagree with you. Let me paint you a picture, right? I'm gonna make a guess here and just tell me if I'm correct. My guess is gonna be, at least to some degree, you care about illegal immigration, right? Specifically illegal immigration, people coming across the border with without being permitted to come across.
I got you there. I like Milton Friedman's policy: open the borders, remove the welfare state. You can't do tariffs either because I'm not
asking for what your fucking perfect immigration policy is. I'm just saying, like, we have immigration laws. My guess would be, I'm assuming that.
Well, you guessed wrong. Wrong. No, I want open borders.
So currently, today, you have no issue with illegal immigration at all.
I want to change the law.
You don't hear that every day. Okay, yeah, I'm saying in our current framework, in the current system we have, do you think it's okay to come in illegally or no? In the current system, not your perfect world, not Fantasyland, today's world.
Whether the law is being broken or not is a very black and white issue. There's no need to ask me that question.
There is a need to ask you the question. The fact that you won't answer it is hilarious. Yes or no, do you have some issue with illegal immigration in today's immigration system?
Well, how do I put this? If there's a law that you can't wear red shoes on Sunday, I'm not going to argue that someone broke the law or not. And I'm saying I want the law changed.
Do you have an issue? Do you have a problem with murder?
There's an argument to be made that socialized homicide retribution is not a good system to run under.
Do you support murder? Yes or no?
That's what I'm saying. Going back to the constitutional thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Why do I have to plant my flags here or there?
Okay. Listen, I only have 2 hours to stream today. I'm not wasting it on a fucking dickhead like that. Okay. Next, Stormtrooper. I got 2 hours. I do not have time to waste with a fucking guy that can't say yes or no to do you support murder. All right, what's going on? What do you want to talk about?
I don't think Trump is destroying the constitutional order.
Perfect. Why not?
Well, I mean, he was voted into something that he wasn't even constitutionally allowed to be voted into president.
Say that again. Say that again. Run that back.
He was voted into president on this term on the fact that you're not even allowed to be a felon to run for president. So he was already voted into something that's unconstitutional.
To be clear, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can't run for president as a felon. To be clear.
Yes, there is 100%.
No, there's not. Cite it right now. Cite it right now.
You want me to cite that part in the Constitution?
Yeah. If you're if I'm gonna correct you, and then you're gonna say that I'm wrong,
there's
then
no
you
correction.
Prove it.
There's no correction. You cannot run for president if you're a felon. That's a fact. Prove it? Okay. Here, let me do this very simple thing that you are doing right now.
I'm sorry, chat. We are gonna wait for him on this. I've been getting a lot of comments and DMs recently about how people don't really appreciate when I let people skirt on stuff like this. I do it sometimes just for time reasons, just for the sake of saving some time. Sometimes I'll hear someone say something that's wrong and I'll just let it slide and let it go so we can move on. But I keep like getting comments and DMs about how people don't like that. So I'm trying to take a more like firm position. Oh, he left. Shocker. Dickhead left. I'm so surprised. Okay, anyway. So, real quick, switch over to the other screen. Yes, convicted felons can run for president even if they can't vote. And then if you want to read this, verify this article, you can read through that if you'd like to. But yes, you can absolutely run for president as a felon. Anywho, I mean, he did, right? So it doesn't really matter. All right, people keep telling me not to let guests lie on stream, and I totally get it. That's a good position to have. Like you shouldn't let people lie. It's not good. All right, next. How's it going? What do you want to talk
about? We can either go border, or we can go right after your banner.
Border or what?
Or your banner.
Well, the banner is the topic for today, so we should probably go for that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
Trump has been the only one that's been trying to keep the Constitution intact.
Really? In what way has he done that?
In every way possible.
Okay, give me one example.
Running a fair race. Being honest.
Trump's honest. Really?
If you were to set the two next to each other, you really think Kamala could handle herself in the presidential seat? You really think she could handle it?
Wait, why are we pivoting to Kamala?
I'm trying to figure out your rationale.
Well, Kamala doesn't have anything to do with my rationale for why I think Trump's violating the Constitution frequently.
Okay, so you think your vote would have been better with Kamala?
Just to be clear, I don't know if there's a third person in the room with this right now. I've said nothing about Kamala. I'm saying that Trump violates the Constitution on a basis that is way too much or way too high for a president.
So let's go with what's the most recent?
The most recent? I don't know what the most recent one would be. I'd say the most recent egregious one where God damn, that's not good. Would probably be all the due process stuff is kind of old at this point, so it's not that, but that's probably the most egregious in general.
You do realize that American citizens get due process.
American citizens do get due process. I agree.
Okay.
No shit.
People that are not one of the first lines of the Constitution, it says, "We the people of these United States."
Yeah.
Not all immigrants, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the world that
Yep.
steps foot on American soil.
I got you. I know. Yep. I know this line of argumentation. Let me ask you one question. Can you tell me why you, as I assume, I'm not going to presume to know what you do for work or your background or experience in life. I will just ask straight on like this. What about you or your knowledge or your life gives you the impression that you are more fit to interpret the Constitution than the Supreme Court of the United States, whose job it is to interpret the Constitution?
No, that's why we pay them.
Yeah,
but can you show me an example where
they're firmly set in the idea that non-citizens also get due process rights, and you seem to think that that's not true, and I want to know what makes you think that you can interpret the Constitution better than they can.
So I think you're misinterpreting what the Supreme Court has said.
Okay.
If you'd like to pull it up, we can get granular with it.
Oh, I'm going to get so fucking granular. All right, this is a quote from JGG versus Trump case, settled a couple months ago. This is a quote from the majority opinion. Okay. Quote, importantly, as the court stresses, the court's disagreement with the dissenters is not over whether the detainees receive judicial review of their transfers. All 9 members of the court agree that judicial review is available. That is to say that these are non-citizens, that the people in question in this case, these are non-citizen people. As the Supreme Court saying, we're like, hey, all 9 of us here agree that judicial review is absolutely available for these people. So what's up with that? And if you want me, actually, before I even let you respond, if you want me to prove that it's even more foundational than that, we'll go back. That was kind of recent. So an argument that you could possibly make is like, okay, well, this, like, it was never like that before. This is all so recent that they've said stuff like this. So I'm going to take you back to a case from 1945. This is Bridges v. Wixon, a quote from that case. Quote, the Bill of Rights is a feudal authority for the alien seeking admission for the first time to these shores. But once an alien lawfully enters and resides in the country, he becomes invested with the rights guaranteed by the Constitution to all people. I'm going to reread this one section. To all people within our borders. Such rights include those protected by the First and Fifth Amendments and by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. None of these provisions acknowledges any distinction between citizens and aliens.
Okay, so let's walk that back a little bit, because 1945 is a little bit out of date. So you do realize that 90%, 80 to 90, okay, of people that seek asylum fail. You do realize that, right?
I'm just going to tell you right now, I am not going to let you pivot. Your argument was that non-citizens do not have due process rights.
Pivoting.
You're trying to talk about asylum claims failing now.
I want
you to issue a correction then. Say that non-citizens do in fact have due process rights.
They don't. There is a process for them to follow, not our due process.
So then why does SCOTUS disagree with you, and what makes you more competent than them to figure this out?
Again, you're misinterpreting what they said.
How am I misinterpreting what they said?
You quoted an opinion.
I quoted the holding from the case.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Did they actually get it up and appeal it to the Supreme Court, or did the Supreme Court issue an opinion?
Repeat that.
Did they actually appeal a decision that would go and be heard by the Supreme Court, or was it just an opinion?
Did who appeal to the Supreme Court? What are you asking right now?
The judge wrote an order.
The Supreme Court wrote an order. What I read
That's not how law works.
What I just read you was from SCOTUS.
Was it a Supreme Court opinion? Was it a ruling or was it an opinion?
I don't. You're tripping fucking balls right now. If what you're trying to ask me is whether or not that was from the dissenting opinion, if it was from the dissenters, then it's dicta. That was from the majority in both of what I read you. So I don't know. I'm tripping. You got. I don't know what you're trying to say, basically.
Okay. Well, if you don't understand it, that's fine. So let's back up a little bit.
We're not going away from the due process stuff. It's not happening. It's just not going to happen.
For the
Well, you're
first
wrong.
time ever, an
So what do you want me to
American
do about it?
president
I
has
can't
been
make
convicted
you
of a
see the
felony.
truth.
Hold on,
A
what
New
is
York
playing right
jury
now?
has found former President Donald Trump
Nothing over
guilty.
here.
Oh, that was that fucking article I pulled up for the last guy. They just started randomly playing a video. I'm sorry. There was a video playing really fucking loud in my headphones. Like the last like 2 sentences you said, you got to repeat.
I said, I don't know how I can make it. If you can't understand it, I can't teach it to you. I've tried 2 different ways.
I'm okay. I just need you to answer this question. You have to. You have to answer it directly.
Go ahead.
Tell me why the Supreme Court of the United States, for the last, at bare minimum, I read you a 1945 case that said the same thing as the current 2025 case. So at bare minimum, for the last 80 years, have agreed that non-citizens have due process rights. You tell me why that's not the case.
It's not the same as U.S. citizens due process. It is a process in which they go through.
Have you been assuming this whole time that what I was saying was that the due process rights afforded to citizens and non-citizens are 100% 1-to-1 equal?
Yeah, that's what you're claiming.
That's not what I'm claiming. I never said that. Never would.
Ah, okay. That's called pivoting.
It's pivoting to clarify my position when you're mischaracterizing it?
Due process is in the Constitution. Yes? The words due process.
Yeah.
In the immigration order, does it say due process?
In the immigration order. Which one are you
In
talking?
the filing of those rulings and how they're done and how the proceedings go, is it called due process? It's not, buddy.
I don't know like what you're trying to get at.
Again,
is it called due process? What are you meaning there?
Exactly what I just said. Due process is ours.
What is due process?
Jesus Christ.
What is due process?
You can't get away from being wrong by trying to divert.
I'm not even remotely wrong. What is due
That's
process?
exactly what you're doing.
What is due process?
I asked you point blank.
Yeah.
I asked you point blank.
Yep.
And you couldn't answer the question, could you?
What did you ask me?
The terms due process.
Whether or not they called it due process? Just to be clear, the phrase due process comes up in this ruling like a lot.
Ah, okay.
Like
right.
many times. So I don't know. Like.
Right. So you just can't admit that you're wrong, huh?
Well, didn't you just ask me if they use the word due process, and now I'm telling you that yes, I actually do use the word due process.
In how they handle immigration cases, it's called due process.
You know, not all immigration cases. That what you just said is dumb as fuck. In how they
you're
handle
wrong.
immigration cases, not all immigration cases
How
are the
they
same.
handle immigration cases, the operational procedure of how they handle it, it's not called due process.
Why would it need to be called due process? Due process is a term of art. Due process is a term of art. Why does something need to be called due process to be the concept of due process? For one, also, it is. By the way, let me. If you want me to just read you this whole case start to finish, I got time. We can do it. Okay. We can, if that's what you want to do. Against the backdrop of the U.S. government's unprecedented deportation of dozens of immigrants to a foreign prison without due process. That's so weird. Why would they say that? Why would they say that?
Is that an article?
No, that's SCOTUS talking.
That's SCOTUS talking.
I'm reading you straight from JGGV Trump.
I asked you a point blank question. You couldn't answer it. Come on, Chief.
What question couldn't answer? Ask the question again.
Due process is mentioned in the Constitution for U.S. citizens.
It says persons, not citizens.
Is it said due process for immigration procedures?
It says persons, not citizens.
The rights are for citizens.
You're already wrong. It doesn't say citizens.
No,
it says
the rights
persons.
are for citizens.
Why did the framers of the Constitution? Why did the framers of the Constitution? Why did the framers of the Constitution? Why did the framers of the Constitution differentiate between citizens and persons? Why did they use two separate words? Why do that? What a waste of time.
Don't act like you're low IQ, dude. Don't sit there and try to repeat stuff.
Why did they use two different words? When they wanted to have a right given only to citizens, why did they use the word citizens and then other times use the word persons? Why do that?
Go back to Federalist Papers.
Why? I just want you to answer the question. Why? Why use the word person sometimes and citizen sometimes?
I couldn't teach you a simple point earlier, and you won't answer a simple question now.
You know, every time you just throw out an ad hom, it makes you look like a fucking moron. You know that? I know that I just used that. I just did an ad hom. I'm just saying it makes you look dumb. I'm not saying you are. I would never say such a thing. I'm just saying you look it. But I'm not saying you are dumb. But I'm just saying every time you throw out an ad hom like you think you're doing something, you look stupid.
It doesn't make it true just because you say it.
Well, I mean, I've been right about
You've
everything
got
so
to
far.
start realizing. You've got to start realizing this.
Can you explain why the Supreme Court of the United States, for the last 80 years at least, has disagreed with you that non-citizens do not have any due process rights? Why? Why? Why is that? Give me a why. Please.
If that were the case, why did they not take the one guy, the cartoon drawings of MS-13 on his knuckles? Why did they not take that order if it wasn't followed by Trump? Why didn't they give it to the Supreme Court for them to appeal it or for them to hear it?
The order to bring back Abrego Garcia?
Yeah.
That was appealed up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court
Why
affirmed,
isn't he
the
back
Supreme
yet,
Court
then?
upheld. He is back. He's literally in the United States right now. Jesus Christ. Come on. Holy fucking shit. You're not going to do this, are you? You're not going to act so confident and then just be wrong and then wrong and then wrong and then wrong. It was appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court upheld that order, and now he is in the United States.
But it's not on the grounds of what the order was written. It's on different charges.
It's not on the grounds of what the order was written.
What the order was written for, yes.
What was the order written for?
That he didn't receive his process, not due process, genius. He didn't receive his rightful process through immigration when he actually did.
This is why I keep asking what due process is, because every time you talk, you make it really clear that you have no idea what due process is.
Is that why you couldn't answer the question earlier?
There's no question you've asked that I didn't answer.
Bullshit.
You are literally making
Ask
that
you
up.
point blank. Is the term due process in the immigration operation procedure? Is it?
There's not just one immigration procedure.
Is it in any? The term due process, yes or no?
Is the term due process are you saying in any law that has anything to do with immigration is the word due process found? Is that the question you were asking me currently?
I said, is it in the operational procedure for handling immigration?
Okay,
Can you answer the question?
I'm going to say it again. I just need a little itty bitty bit of clarification on your question. Just the tiniest amount of clarification. If you could give it to me, I'll answer, and I would love to answer. Okay.
So you won't answer the question. Gotcha. That's taking an L pretty simply.
Did you hear the part where I said I really, really want to answer your question, but I would love just a tiny bit of
say,
clarification?
you're saying one thing, but you're contradicting yourself.
Can I ask you a clarifying question? Will you answer my clarifying question?
Sure.
Okay. So my clarifying question that I would like to ask you is, when you say the immigration procedure, are you talking about all immigration laws? Because there isn't just one. There's a bunch.
Right.
Are you talking about them all?
I'm talking about if you were to try to spot it in a handbook. Yes.
In a handbook?
Fucking A.
I have no idea if it appears in a handbook. I'm not an ICE agent or like a DHS agent.
Okay. So usually operational procedures are listed somewhere, right? That's how they teach people how to do their job, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Like I had a fucking operational procedures, but yeah, sure.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
You know those aren't law though?
Fucking A.
Yes or no? They
don't teach them law.
Operational
They don't
procedures
teach ICE agents law. They don't teach them how they're supposed to lawfully handle somebody when they're wearing a gun.
There's a shitload of police officers that'll tell you right now that they have no idea how the law actually works.
Stay relevant, dude. Come on. This is why it's so frustrating to deal with y'all. This is why you're losing.
It's frustrating to deal with me. You still haven't answered. Like, you want to talk about me not answering questions. You still haven't answered. You haven't answered just this one question, and then I'd be super proud of you. Why do you think? Why do you believe? Why in the world do you believe? Why do you believe you know more about immigration law than the Supreme Court? Who the fuck are you?
I didn't say that I know
Who
more
the
about
fuck do
immigration
you
law
think
than
you
the
are,
Supreme
my
Court.
guy?
I didn't say that. I said I know more than you.
You're saying you know more than SCOTUS. That's what you're saying.
More than you.
You're saying you know more than SCOTUS.
I said you.
You're saying SCOTUS.
I didn't say SCOTUS.
They have clarified what the law is in regards to this, and you're saying they're wrong.
On something.
You're saying they're wrong. That's what you're saying.
You're
You're saying that they're incorrect.
Flat out question that you would not answer.
You're saying SCOTUS is wrong. Why are you saying SCOTUS is wrong?
I didn't say SCOTUS is wrong, genius. Can you hear okay?
So immigrants do have due process rights.
Do your headphones work okay?
So immigrants do have due process rights? Or
no.
do they not? Oh, then why are you saying that you think you know more than SCOTUS? Because they said
Immigrants have access to the rights. It's access, especially if they're in the process. They have a better chance at it. Now, back to my question earlier. Since you couldn't answer the one before, I'm going to ask you this one. Let's see if you can answer this one like a big boy, okay? How many people that apply for asylum get turned down? What's the percentage?
How does that have anything to do with due process?
Yeah.
How does it have anything to do with it? It doesn't.
I asked you a direct question. Can you answer it or not?
We're talking about due process. You're trying to pivot to a different topic.
I'm not pivoting. I asked you point blank
well,
questions.
You would like to.
I'm giving a little bit of background to see if you actually know
want
what
to
you're talking
change
about.
the topic, and I'm not letting you.
I'm not
gonna
changing
let you.
the topic. We're talking about immigration.
I'm not letting you change the topic.
I'm getting some background because you won't answer specific questions. I want to see if you actually know what you're talking about, or if you're not just reading the fucking Act Blue script. Come on, Chief. You got this. How many people that apply for asylum actually get it granted? Rough percentage.
The immigrants have due process rights?
So you can't answer the question.
It's not on
I've
topic.
already answered that one.
We're not changing the topic.
It's the same topic. We're talking about immigration.
I'm talking about due process.
You can't. How are you going to sit here and claim that you're right on one subject when you can't even give background to anything involving it?
Well, we
That's called cognitive
haven't
dissonance.
finished our conversation on the topic.
We tried.
You haven't answered why you think you know more than
You
SCOTUS.
won't. I have answered every question you have. You won't answer my questions.
Why do you think you know more than the Supreme Court?
I don't. I know more than you.
What do you think that they? What do you think the ruling in JGG versus Trump was? Like, what did they decide in that case? What was the holding?
Are you willing to discuss different facts of this, or are you just going to try to stay on one little thing and try to trick it up when I have clearly said,
bro, I'm not letting you pivot.
I don't
my guy.
know.
You're not pivoting to something
I've
else.
said
You're
that
not.
many times. Many times I've said that.
Well, you
keep on wanting to repeat it. Why is that?
We're not moving on off of like the whether or not immigrants have due process until we come to a conclusion.
I have succumbed to you. I have defaulted, and I've said you're right. I don't know more than the Supreme Court.
But you still think undocumented immigrants don't have due process rights.
That's fact. That's a fact. They
Okay,
actually don't have
so-
to see a
so
judge.
the Supreme Court
Did you know
disagrees
that?
with you.
Did you
So-
know that? They actually
They-
don't
they-
have to see a judge.
In an expedited removal proceeding, you don't have to see a judge. Yeah.
Right. That's weird, isn't it?
No, it's not weird at all. It makes total sense.
Okay.
Are you under the impression
But
that
yet-
due
but
are you
yet
under the
under due
impression are you under the
process, you do
impression
have
are
the
you
right
under the
to be
impression
heard.
are you under the impression that due process means seeing a judge? That's not what it means.
It's not exactly what it means, Chief, but you're going off again.
Well, it's a term of
If
art.
you're gonna-
So
are you
it
going to
means a
have
lot
a real
of different things.
conversation? How
This
old are
is
you,
a
by
real
the way?
conversation. 24.
How old are you?
This is a real conversation.
How old are you?
24.
Okay, that makes more sense. Do you want to stay relevant and actually stay factual here? Or you want to sit here and play little games?
You're not saying factual at all.
I'm staying very factual.
You don't have a fucking clue what due process even means, and you want to have a substantive conversation about it. You don't have a fucking clue.
You want
what
me
it
to?
means.
You want me to pull it up on the screen and school you on that too, son?
On the definition of due process?
The definition, how it's handled, how it can be a little bit manipulated in court.
How
Just
due
like Trump
process
didn't
can
get to
be
see-
how due process can be manipulated in court.
Yeah. Just like Trump got found guilty, but yet didn't know the charge until the jury was about to hear it. Yeah.
You saying he didn't know the charge?
Him, his lawyers. Due process was not served.
Can you actually no? Because I was about to invite you
Oh,
to fucking
no.
pivot.
I'm not allowed to pivot. Oh,
Well,
my
yeah,
God.
I was going to invite you to pivot.
Yeah, you wanted to. See,
Can
here's
you,
the thing.
can you give
Here's
me the
thing,
definition
okay?
of due process, please? Can you please define?
I'm not going to go any further in this conversation because here's the deal, okay? I'm trying to have a good banter with you. I'm trying to let you
No, you're not.
in on the fact.
You're not.
Yes, I
You're
am.
absolutely not.
Yes,
You're
I
the most
am.
bad
On the
faith fucking
fact that
dickhead I've ever
it
talked to,
doesn't
probably.
take that much thought to actually sit back and say to yourself, huh, the guy's actually helping our country. Instead,
he's not. He's
instead,
absolutely not.
You're taking a lot of feminine energy.
He's
You're
absolutely
arguing.
every single probably 2/3 of what has come out of your mouth is just ad homs every time. Like that's all you're capable of.
Not really.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Not really.
What's due
Just
process?
because you
What
say
is due
something
process?
out loud
What is due
just
process?
because you
Define
go,
due
"I don't
process.
like
What is
it,
due process?
mommy."
Define due process. What is due
I
process?
don't like it, mommy.
Define due process. What is due process?
Make it go away.
Define due process. What is due process?
Due process.
Define due process.
Due process would be easy to discuss with somebody, that could actually answer questions.
Define due process.
Hey, kick me real quick. I'm not here.
All right. All right, Maddie, thank you for the 100 roses. Holy shit, that's a lot of roses. Nancy, thank you for the 6. Autumn, thank you for the rose. And LH867 and Q, thank you guys both for the heartbeats. All right, next guest. Wait, hold on. Let me see what if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That is actually that is literally the definition of due process. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Therese, holy shit, Therese, thank you for the. It's still counting. It's still counting. It's still counting. I have no idea how many rows this was because it's still counting. By the way, guys, if you are in the live right now and you're not following me and you would like to, I highly encourage you to click the follow button. Also, double tap your screen to get the likes on the live up. We just absolutely fucking blew past this this gift goal, so I'm gonna reset it real quick to something else. I'm gonna re-add a goal because we just fucking flew past it like you wouldn't even believe. Thank you, Therese, for the. What did it end up being? 134 roses. Uriah also with the ice cream cone. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Maddie with 50 roses. And, oh wait, holy shit, Seth. I didn't even see this. I'm so sorry. Seth sent the Galaxy. Seth, did you send that Galaxy with the intention of having that last guy get kicked? Oh wait, I don't even have it up on screen anymore. Never mind. See, that's probably not why you sent that. You just sent it to send it. Well, thank you, Seth. Holy shit, the Galaxy coming in so hot from Seth. Thank you. So yeah, I used to have a little thing up on the screen that would say said Galaxy equals kick caller. But I took it down today, literally for today's stream. So I assumed you were trying to kick that guy, but nope, that was just for the sake of it. Thank you, Seth. Fucking goated with the sauce. By the way, we're at 6 out of 7 on the sub goal. So if you have some money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to subscribe to the fucking page, that would be super awesome. Anyway, next caller. Also, Turner can't read. Thank you for the roses. Nancy, thank you for the roses. Becca and Greg, thank you for the heartbeats. All right, next. Whew. Blew through all those. Hello? Can you hear me? Hi. Hello?
Yeah, hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. What do you want to talk about? How's it going?
I'm doing good. I just want to take 30 seconds to say really quick, everybody who's here, watching the show should be calling their congressman to voice their opinion of the impeachment vote yesterday. Letting them know if you have a Democratic congressman in your state and you're upset with them, call them, let them know that, and keep blowing up their phones. That's all I wanted to say.
True and based. I agree. Thank you. Your spelling is incorrect? Oh, on the thing? Oh, it is, totally. How did it take this long for somebody to point that out? I missed a T. Took so long for someone to point that out. All right. Thank you, whoever that was. I didn't actually see who pointed it out, but thank you. All right, next. Next. The next person is connecting. While they're connecting, Linda, thank you for the 4 roses, and Greg, thank you for the rose, and Emery, thank you for the, I actually don't know what this is, live ranking crown. Thank you. I appreciate you. Therese with a bunch more roses. It's still counting up. 15. Thank you, Therese. Appreciate you. Okay, the last guest, it didn't end up letting them up, which is weird, but hello?
What's going on?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing great.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I think Trump, D-Dog is doing fantastic at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, he got dealt a bad hand when it comes to the Iranian situation. There's nothing much that he could have done. I think that was the best possible option.
You think that was the best he could have done? Do you have any opinion on him tearing up the JCPOA? Or people use the term tearing up colloquially, removing the U.S. from the JCPOA.
Yeah, I think it's very silly for people to say that he did it because Obama put it in place. I think that's a very emotional argument.
Mm-hmm.
When you actually look at it, Iran was not putting their end of the bargain at all. I mean, we unfroze frozen assets for them. We put interest rate. We allowed them to legally have nuclear weapons if they followed the deal, but they didn't. They were, still collecting resources. And that's why Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
to be clear, we allowed them to maintain their civilian nuclear energy program so they could keep using nuclear energy, because a lot of that country relies on nuclear energy. So it'd be kind of fucked for us to just be like, you can't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So we allowed them to maintain their nuclear energy, like civilian sector. What part of the deal do you think that they weren't following up on, or that they weren't holding their end of the deal on? Like what in that deal, that, you know, what requirement of them were they not following? What was something that they were supposed to be doing under that deal that they were not doing?
They were gathering resources to make atomic bombs. That's literally why Donald Trump got out of the deal. He said himself, that's why he got out of the deal.
What resources were they gathering?
Probably things like uranium.
Well, of course they were. Of course they were still in possession of uranium. They were using uranium. They have been the entire time for their civilian sector.
Well, I don't know. I'm not like a fucking chemist, dude. I mean, this is like, you know, who knows? Yeah,
the point being, pulling us out of that deal for whatever grievances, you know, Trump might have had with the JCPOA, maybe how it was written, or there was some provision in there he didn't like. Whatever, you know, grievances he might have had, pulling us out of it entirely doesn't make any sense. That's not what you do with treaties. Even if you feel like the other side is in violation of a treaty, the solution isn't just to toss the entire treaty.
I mean, kind of is, yeah. I mean, they literally were not putting their end to the treaty. I don't see a problem with it.
When you enter a treaty with another nation and they choose to violate it, let's say that they were. There's not great evidence that they were even violating the treaty, but we'll take your framing. Let's say they were just in complete violation of the treaty. Pulling us out, all we gain from just leaving the treaty is that now we have no legal basis for any of our bitching and moaning. All right, but if you what you should be doing is, for one, not unilaterally exiting the treaty. You should take that violation, whatever it may be, whatever perceived violation of the treaty you have, you take that to the world stage, take it to the the fucking ICJ, and you should tout it for the rest of the world to see. Look, you know, we have this nuclear we have this nuclear deal with Iran. Look at these fuckers. They're violating it, and now they lose all support across the world. Because you know, they made an agreement. People don't like, generally speaking, humans don't like when you make an agreement with someone and they one-sided violate the agreement. Like, people don't like that. It feels bad. It feels wrong. I mean, intuitively, I think we all know that. Like, if you make a deal with someone and one side chooses to violate their end of the agreement, like, that just feels bad. So you can make them look horrible to the rest of the planet if you do that. But when you just say, fuck it, they're not following it, we're out of here, see you later. All you actually do is just give them a legal justification for continuing to do the bad action that you think they're doing. If it was the case that they're gathering materials for a nuclear weapon, but we have this agreement in place that they aren't supposed to be doing that, and you unilaterally remove us, well, now they have an absolutely clear and perfect legal justification to gather those materials because there's no treaty anymore.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the end of the day, that's what Donald Trump did. I would say this, you know, what you just said definitely sounds great. I wouldn't disagree with you if Donald Trump did that. But that's what he did. I don't have a problem with it. And don't forget who we have this treaty with. These people, the government, not the people. The government's not great at all. They're probably one of the most evil governments on this planet at the moment. So, you know, we're giving them things and they're not holding their end of the deal. It's like, I don't see a problem with, you know, just cutting it right then and there. Like, I don't see that to be anything negative.
Well, the reason I would categorize it as negative is because having that treaty in place, again, is really good legal justification for follow-up action, right? It looks bad when any sovereign nation just gets attacked because they're doing something within their own borders that another country doesn't like. Like, if Iran's just minding their own business inside their own country, trying to build a nuclear weapon, fine. They're just doing that within their own sovereign borders, and then Israel comes along and strikes them, and then America comes along and strikes them. That makes us look, bad to a good swath of the world. But if we have a nuclear treaty in place that says they are, like, legally not allowed to be doing what they're doing, and then they get struck for that, well, now we're on firm footing. So I'm just saying keeping that treaty in place would have been a good, even if they did both. Let's say both actions took place. Let's say he kept the treaty in place, what I'm saying, and we still did those strikes. We look much better there than we do now. what they were doing wasn't wrong legally, but like they were absolutely well within their rights to do, to be trying to build a nuclear weapon. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're going to the point of striking them, what is the point of the treaty?
Well, if they were in violation of it, if it was still in place and they were violating it, the point of the treaty would be like, we are legally justified. We are absolutely legally and morally justified to do this because we made a deal with these fuckers and they chose to break it. They said, they agreed to our terms, they signed it, and they're breaking it. Okay, so the only option left on the table now is for us to strike them over this, right? We have such a good justification to do so. We're in such a good place there. But when you tear up the deal and say fuck it, we're not even going to have a deal with these guys anymore, and then they're doing whatever they want to be doing in their own sovereign borders, and we come in and start dropping bombs. You're not on such firm footing anymore. Not to say that I necessarily think anything about the strike was illegal. That's not even the argument I'm making. It was probably fine. And actually, I'm kind of devil's advocating right now because I also don't really have an issue with those strikes.
No, I don't think whoever says honestly, you stand with Iran, I just don't think people understand who these people are. There's videos of, government officials in the Iran, saying things like, death to America and death to Israel. There's probably things behind the scenes that we as, U.S. citizens don't really know what they can do with these nuclear weapons. I mean, there's something Israel knows and, Donald Trump knows that we don't know. I mean, they attacked the U.S. embassy for fucking out loud. I mean, this is these guys are not great people. I mean, whoever says they stand with Iran, that's what pisses me off. I mean, they're not great people. I mean, since 1979, when the Islamic Republic took over, they're just not literally their own people started to run away and come here. I know Iranians that live in my area. They fucking hate their country. They hate their government because their government, I mean, if you're a woman and you show a couple inches of hair over there, you're going to get executed. If you're part of the LGBTQ, you're going to get executed. I mean, these people are not very nice.
But at this point, I feel like we're just veering off into exposition territory because I think we can both agree. I don't support the government of Iran. They don't have a great government. So we're in agreement on that. The point here is, did our president make the best possible decision? And honest to God, I would continue to argue that pulling out of the JCPOA in the first place was a humongous mistake. But given, I think you used this phrasing earlier in the conversation, but given the fact that it literally, it's too late now, he already did it, right, years ago. Given the fact that we did pull out in 2018, if it was the case, now here's another big caveat that I think is important to recognize, okay? If it is the case that Israel's intelligence is correct and they weren't lying, it was absolutely truthful, and Iran was actually putting together a nuke, then I would say the strikes were probably justified because you don't want the current Iranian regime to have a nuclear weapon. Okay, of
course.
But there's another, there's another sub factor here that is, I think, vitally important, and that is, how much do we trust Israeli intelligence? I don't know that I do. I don't necessarily know that I do trust that intelligence, considering this is the 950 millionth time that Israel has said that Iran's 2 weeks away from a nuke. How many times do they have to say, oh, they're 2 weeks off from having a completed nuclear bomb before we go? Are you guys lying? How many times,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would go so far if it was a lie to say that, United States government is going to do something about it. There's definitely probably something that they cannot disclose of. Again, I just don't think, and this comes down to this, right? I think, people are saying that what Donald Trump said on X, oh yeah, there's a, ceasefire, and people are saying that he's lying. He probably was not fucking lying. I mean, I hate to say it, but Israel is a fucking dumbass in this situation. For some reason, they decided, put all their fucking missiles and shit right after the ceasefire was, announced by Donald Trump. And I'd be pissed off if I was Donald Trump too. I mean, he literally said the F-bomb on television because of that. I mean, So
Sure did.
there's definitely something, again, we don't know. And there's definitely something that that they know, and that's why they did that.
Well, that's why I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this before. We've been talking about it a lot for the last few days. This whole situation, but my opinion on this entire situation is pretty much entirely based on whether or not the intelligence we got from Israel, or that Israel's touting that they have, is real or not, or whether or not they're telling the truth. Because if it is the case that in this instance they actually were really, really, really close to having a completed nuclear weapon, I would probably just be like, yeah, I'm cool with these strikes. Like, I don't want that to happen either. So if we're just going to do a singular day targeted strike just to get rid of their capacity to build a nuclear weapon or damage it, set them back a couple of years, I'd probably be completely cool with that. I run into a few issues there. Again, I've already said it, but again, I don't know if I believe them anymore because this is like the 900 millionth time they've said that. So I at this point, I'm like, do I believe these guys anymore? I don't know if I do. And then secondly, I run into the same issue that I've also already said of, like, I feel like we wouldn't be here if we just had a fucking nuclear agreement with these people. Trump pulled us out of the one we did have. I don't see that as a good thing. Seems bad.
I don't think we would be here. But I think that they would have progressed way more if, they would progress the same amount if we had the deal. I don't think the deal was going to do anything. The deal was not going to stop them from doing anything. But again, it's like Israel, I just don't understand, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. They have nuclear facilities in the first place. And I haven't heard Iran, the government, deny these accusations of them having enough resources to make 9 atomic bombs. So I haven't heard that. I don't know if you have. But that is definitely something I would do as somebody who was in charge of the government there.
It doesn't necessarily matter, for one. It doesn't actually matter if they did, even if that was true, even if they had the resources to build however many atomic bombs. Like, that doesn't actually mean anything. It's whether or not they were gonna do it, or they were trying to do it, or they were taking steps to do it. For instance, building a nuke is, at this day, like during this, at this point in civilization, building a nuclear bomb is like not hard. Like, it's kind of trivially easy. The hard part is enriching the uranium to a degree that it can be used for a nuclear bomb. That's the rough part.
And that's what they did.
The problem is it seems to be the case that they deliberately stopped short. They enriched uranium up to 60%, but that's not enough to build a nuke. You needed it like 90, right? They deliberately stopped short of going up to what you would need to have a nuclear bomb. It seems to be the case that they were just trying to show Israel that they could do it. Maybe that's a motivation that I've seen floated that seems plausible to me. They go to 60. For one, you can use 60% uranium for like some medical purposes, some like limited uses in medical context. But it seems to be the case that more likely than not, what they were doing was trying to show Israel like, hey, look, we can if we want to, and we're not. We're choosing not to. But again, this is kind of a pointless conversation. We're just looping because I come back to the same position of my opinion on that depends entirely on the truthfulness of Israel saying they were taking concrete steps to put together a nuclear bomb. If that's true, then okay, maybe the strikes are fine. If that's a lie, well, then of course not. Like, obviously the fuck not.
I mean, when it comes to this conversation, I think you definitely side with the right. I don't know your political beliefs, but you're definitely on the right side.
I only side where I side on this because I also don't want the current Iranian regime to have a nuclear weapon. So if it was the case that they were trying to build one,
you should talk to? You should talk to the people that say shit like I stand with Iran and see what they say about this shit.
Well, to be honest, I don't want to talk about this situation at all because I'll say it one more time. My whole opinion is based on whether or not one country is lying, and a country, by the way, that has a propensity to lie. They've done it. We've caught them in lies about like similar things before. And so when my whole opinion is based on information given by a country who has a propensity for lying, it puts you on weak footing. You know what I mean? Because it could be the case, I have this opinion now, but it could be the case that next week we find out they made this shit the fuck up, and my opinion completely changes 100%. Then I go all the way to the other side where I'm like, no, none of this was okay. Then this was all bullshit. None of it was okay. So I don't, for me to sit here and like give like a really strong opinion and have like a full on fucking debate where my whole opinion is based on are these people lying or not? You're on really weak footing there.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
That's why I wish we could get confirmation. I want the intel. I want the intel. Whatever intel they had that led them to the belief that Iran was actually putting together a nuclear bomb. I want that intel. Obviously, that's not going to fucking happen. Okay, that's going to be like top secret shit. It's never going to get released. Well, never. It's not going to get released probably anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, my entire opinion. The reason I just don't like this particular debate, the whole Iran shit, is because my opinion is just based on intel that might not even be true. They might be fucking lying because they do that. They have a habit. They have a habit of lying about stuff. Okay, and so to have a opinion that's based on believing information from a nation that lies a lot, you're on kind of weak ground there. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not great. That's why I don't love the whole Iran conversation. Don't love it. Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm good. So I'm just wondering why you think it's a problem for Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Mainly because they are one of, if not the world's biggest state sponsor of terrorism. And so if you have a country that likes to handle a lot of their issues by funding terrorists to do jobs that they don't want to be seen as doing. For instance, like Iran doesn't want to be seen as attacking Israel directly, right? So for them, their optimal solution is to just pay terrorist groups or at least supply terrorist groups with the means to do so. And if you have that nation, a country who's prone to do things like that, if you have them having nuclear weapons, you run into a weird issue where it is entirely on the table that you get a universe one day where their solution to an issue is to supply a terrorist group with a nuke so that they can take an action that Iran themselves would not want to be seen as doing. Iran would never want to be seen as nuking Israel. Never would they want to. They don't want that. But giving Hamas a nuke so they can do it. That's not out of the realm of possibility because that's how they've operated in the past.
I mean,
and
Hamas
when I say, I'm always very, very clear. I'm always so clear. And if you've been listening for a while, you heard me just say it. When I was talking to that last guy, when I say I don't want Iran, I almost never say I don't want Iran to have nukes. What I say is I don't want the current Iranian regime to have nukes. The way they operate now, the way they behave in the world, I don't want that regime to have nuclear weapons. Now, if it is the case that in some time down the road they clean up their shit and they get back to like the early 70s Iran, then this becomes a very different conversation. Maybe I don't mind as much then. In theory, I don't want any country to get nukes that doesn't have them now. Like if they already have them, it's kind of too late, right? No country is going to be giving up their nukes at this point. But any country that currently does not have nuclear weapons, I don't want any country to get them. But we'd be able to have a very, 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 very different conversation if it was like this was 1975 Iran. It'd be so different.
Right. Do you know what happened that made Iran turn the way it is now?
Well, I mean, new leadership is a big part of it.
Right. And do you know who caused that?
Probably Israel.
Well,
probably
American
America.
Involvement.
Yeah. Well, when you say so, I mean, American involvement, probably Israel. It's probably American involvement to assist.
But Israel.
We do
Israel
like to
and
help
America
them out.
Also, both have nuclear weapons, and I feel like
but the problem
that's
is,
even more dangerous than
I take your
Iran
point.
having a nuke.
I do take your point. I take your point. Like when you say, like, well, the reason they are the way they are now is because of American involvement. Sure, fine. Even we'll set that aside. Let's say I completely take that justification and I say you're totally right. Right. Even so, it doesn't change the propensity for a certain type of behavior. My logic still stands. Of current Iranian regime has a propensity to engage in a certain type of behavior, and the type of regime that would do those types of things, i.e. funding terrorism, supplying terrorists, I don't want that country to have nuclear weapons because I would be afraid of them providing a nuclear weapon to a terrorist organization. But again, if they clean up their act and it becomes a different country, if they revert to the 70s Iran, then maybe we have a world where I wouldn't actually care so much. Maybe.
Right.
Again, I
Okay,
still
you said that
wouldn't want anyone to
Hamas
go.
Yeah, you said that Hamas would nuke Israel, but
I'm not saying that I'm not saying they absolutely would. I'm saying we could end up in a world in which Iran hands one over to them.
Right. I'm saying they absolutely would not, because Israel is literally like, it's their land. They want it back.
Yeah,
That's
I know they want the land back. Sure, maybe they wouldn't set it off, but it doesn't change any part of the art. Just say like, well, Hamas wouldn't do it. So you still again, it's the same point. You'd have to really, if you want to change, like if you wanted to change my mind on this, the only way you could possibly do it was to prove definitively that Iran is not a state sponsor of terrorism, which you can't do because they are. So then my point's going to stand. I don't want any state sponsor of terrorism. I think. Have you ever seen this is gonna sound stupid. Just roll with me for just a second, okay? Have you seen like any of like the Marvel movies? Have you seen like the Iron Man series?
No.
Okay. In that series, one of the things that always gets pointed out is kind of like a meme. All the villains that Iron Man ever fights are he created. All of his villains are his own fault. He did something in the past to make someone hate him, and he creates his own villains that he later has to go on to fight. America kind of has that issue where all of the villains that we end up fighting, all the people we go to war with, all the scuffles we get into, not all, but a humongous chunk, an unreasonable chunk of the problems we run into are our own doing. We did something at some point in the past, and now we've made someone hate us, and they rise up, and we have to fight this villain now. But we made them. So when you say, is America a state sponsor of terrorism? Kind of. In a roundabout way, we have created a lot of terrorists by doing stuff that piss people off, and then they rise up, and now they're the new terrorists we have to fight. It happens. It's happened a lot.
Well, I mean, I think it's still happening currently. I mean, do you think that Israel targets civilians?
I think I would rephrase. I think I'm like halfway to where you want me to be. I don't know that they target civilians. I think they just don't give a fuck if civilians die or not. So there'll be a military target in the area. If I paint you this picture, right? There's like a Hamas leader in an area surrounded by 100 civilians. They'll still shoot that bomb, or they'll still drop that bomb because they're like, yeah, well, we're gonna at least get this guy.
That's terrorism?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Okay, and who gives Israel weapons?
We do.
So do you think we're a state sponsor of terrorism?
No, only like not in the way you mean. Only because Israel's an actual state. If it was a non-state, if we were supplying non-state actors in the way that you're describing,
so is murder, or is that worse when it comes from a non-state actor than when it comes from a state actor?
No, it's morally the same. I'm just saying when we talk about terrorist groups, we're talking about non-state actors, right? Israel is a country. They're a country that is at war. Now, they're committing war crimes. That's what you want to say. They're absolutely, yeah.
So I don't understand.
I used to not be anywhere near as strong on that. No, it's still terrorist action. Like the IDF, I would say like the IDF is a pretty is engaged in a lot of terrorist activities, right?
Right. So why do you?
But
think,
in a roundabout way, if you want in a roundabout way to get to where I know you want to go, if we just say, what about the calculus changes if we say that America is a state sponsor of terrorism because we give weaponry to Israel? What about the whole argument changes?
Right. So you said that you're okay with Trump bombing Iran if the information is true, which I know you said you don't think it is.
I just think Israel has a nasty habit of making shit up. So there has to be a really that calculus has to factor in your mind of like, well, if this is true, then I think this is fine. But is it true? I don't know. These guys lie a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's true either. But you said that it would be okay to bomb those nuclear sites if it is true.
Yeah,
Do you think it would be okay to bomb Israeli nuclear sites now, considering that they conduct terrorism, like you said?
I'd say it's probably okay in the exact same way it's okay with Iran. I don't think we would ever do it because they are our ally. But in terms of if we're speaking from a moral context of like, is it okay to do this action? I would say it's okay in the exact same reason it would be okay to do it with Iran.
Right.
This is a country that has secretly developed nuclear weapons that there's no guarantee at all that they won't use them and ruin the Middle East, which will subsequently probably end up ruining the fucking world. So should we remove their abilities to have them? Like if we did, right. if something were to happen and our relationship with Israel were to crumble, right? We're no longer friends. They did something like they pissed us off to a degree. We're like, fuck you guys, we're done with you. And the next day we did the exact same strike that we just did to Iran on Israel and took out their nuclear stockpile. You wouldn't hear me bitching and moaning and whining and crying. I'd be like, all right, well, got him.
Right. Okay. So do you know? I'm assuming you don't like North Korea, right?
You would assume correctly.
Okay, so why do you think the American state hasn't targeted North Korean nuclear sites or military targets in general?
Why haven't we?
Yeah.
More than likely because we probably cannot guarantee that we would be able to disable all of their nuclear weapons before they get one off. Meaning if it became very clear to them that the United States was currently engaging in an operation to disable their nuclear arsenal, there's probably no guarantee. I would say with a very high degree of certainty that we would not be able to get them all before they got one off, or 2 or 10 or 20.
Right. So when Iran has been continually bombed by Israel, do you think it would be wrong for them to want to get their own nuclear weapons to ensure?
No,
that
I've always said this. I said this before I said this before fucking Israel even started doing any military action. I absolutely 100% understand Iran's motivation here. I totally get it, and I sympathize with it. You have a nation over here. You have a nation over here that has nuclear weapons and has the propensity to do severe damage to your country, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, right? It absolutely makes total sense that you would want to have your own nuclear weapons, because then you can, even if you have zero plans to ever shoot one off, you never, like, you're pretty firm on that. You're like, we're never going to use these. I still understand why you'd want to have them, because then it's a very big deterrent for Israel and everyone, really, not even just Israel. It's a big deterrent for everybody. Ain't nobody going to come after your shit. You know, you see it all the time. There's a humongous stigma attached to attacking a nuclearly armed nation. Nobody wants to do it. Look at us in Russia, right? Like, all the conversation of, like, the conversation always devolves into, when you determine, like, whether or not the United States should do anything about Russia invading Ukraine, the conversation always turns into, they're a nuclear armed country. We can't. And so Iran sees that, and they're like, well, we want one, because we want to be able to use that as a defense. Yeah. Oh, I get it. No, I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing Iran for wanting one. No.
Yeah. So I just don't understand why you're okay with bombing them for having nukes.
Because I think they shouldn't have one. Yeah. I think they shouldn't have one. When I say I understand their justification, that's not me saying I agree. Well, I mean, actually, I do agree with their justification. It doesn't matter. I still don't think they should have one. Again, because they supply terrorists. As soon as they stop doing that, then maybe we can talk.
Yeah, what terrorists do they supply?
The Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, probably a lot more that I'm not aware of. At least them.
Why is Hamas a terrorist organization?
Well, they're designated one by the United States. They also committed a terrorist attack on October 7th.
Nelson Mandela was also designated a terrorist.
Yeah, that's not the full. Just because a person is designated as a terrorist by the United States government doesn't inherently make them I would never. Well, actually, if I was alive at the time, maybe I would have different opinions. But, like, currently, today, right now, I would absolutely never. You'd never hear me say, like, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. No, of course not. Right.
Right.
The difference there being, Nelson Mandela didn't do October 7th.
I mean, the ANC absolutely did.
Oh, they did. They did October 7th.
Some sort of violent resistance, including even civilians.
The ANC, the difference every single time every time a civilian was killed at the hands of the ANC or due to the ANC's actions, every single time it was completely accidental and denounced. There was never a goal of, like, we're going to kill these fucking civilians at this place. It happened a couple times. Absolutely, it happened, but it was every time it was accidental. It was never the goal. It was a unfortunate circumstance type shit.
Yeah, I think you also have to understand. I'm not saying that attacks on civilians are ever okay, but if you look at the difference between the ANC and what Black people in South Africa were facing and what the Palestinians are facing, like, obviously they were both horrible and neither are okay. But there's, like, a much more urgent need for resistance for the Palestinians right now, because there's a genocide happening. Just like the Jews in Germany. I mean, you know about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, right? I mean, they were desperate. They just wanted to resist any way they could. I'm not saying it's right.
I totally understand. But the problem is, again, I'm gonna circle all the way back. Again, none of this negates the point. None of this negates. It's going to be a bunch of different separate subcombos about the morality of different groups and how different groups behave. None of that changes the fact that the way the current Iranian regime behaves, I would not be comfortable with them having a nuclear weapon, because I wouldn't be. Well, I wouldn't be comfortable to say that they wouldn't hand one off to one of these groups.
Would you think it would be wrong for Americans back in World War II to arm Jewish resistance groups?
What do you mean arm?
To send them weapons, if they existed.
Do you mean nuclear weapons?
Any type of weapons.
Well, there's a big difference there. Wait, if it's hey, we're gonna give you a crate of what was that? I don't know, what was it? MP40s? I don't know. Was that commonly? Yeah, MP40s are commonly used. We're gonna send you crates of MP40s. I'd be like, okay, it's fine. If it was, hey, we're gonna give you we're gonna give you one of these nukes we just invented. No, of course the fuck not. It's so different. The problem with this, the actual issue with this conversation is that we're not talking about fucking machine guns. We're talking about nukes. No one should have these fucking things, really. In a perfect world, no one would have them.
Iran has never sent. I'm not talking about nukes right now. I'm saying Iran has never sent a nuke to Hamas.
Well, the problem is I'm only talking about. Well, Iran's never sent a nuke to Hamas because fucking Iran doesn't have nukes. I'm saying,
why do you think it's wrong for them to send Hamas guns?
Why do I think it's wrong for them to send him? Because Hamas does engage in terrorism. Absolutely. It's also, by the way, if what you're trying to lead into is it wrong for the U.S. to send weaponry to Israel? I would also say yes. We should stop fucking giving them shit.
Right. Do you condemn the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
I don't know enough about it. There might be some bullshit ass reason I could find. Probably not. No. Probably not.
Yeah, they targeted soldiers, but they also targeted plenty of civilians.
Okay, well, if they target civilians, then yeah, I do.
Okay, do you think that would make it wrong to support any type of resistance?
I'm sorry, the purposeful targeting of civilians?
Sorry, cut out. What do you say?
Are you saying is what you're asking me if I think that it is wrong to supply a group that purposefully targets civilians? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking if you would think it's wrong to supply resistance group in general. Because it depends on the behavior of the group, of the movement as a whole. If it's a strong feature of that group to target civilians, then yes, it would be wrong to help that along. Right. So you think it would be wrong to give Jewish resistance groups weapons because of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
If it were the case that it was a feature of that movement, if there was humongous Jewish resistance groups around Europe, and it was a feature of that group to use those weapons and to target civilians, then yeah.
Right. So do you think it's okay for Hamas to target the IDF?
For Hamas to target the IDF? Yeah, of course.
Why is that wrong?
If the IDF's... Wait, did you say... you asked me if it was wrong? No, sorry. Then I misunderstood you. No, I don't think it's wrong. Don't think it's wrong at all. No.
Okay, well, the mass majority...
It's a fucking... It's a war, man. People... I understand that some people do this shit, but no, you're not going to catch me doing this bullshit. That's stupid. It's dumb. Yeah, if Israel's going to attack them, then of course they're going to fight back. But again, I'm not gonna be bitching and moaning, and I'm not gonna find some moral justification to be mad about military on military violence. If the IDF is, if
that's what's been primarily happening.
IDF versus Hamas, that's fine. That's fine. Go.
Yeah, outside of October 7th, that's what's been primarily happening. What you also have to understand about October 7th is, I'm not gonna say it's okay, but the people that lived there, they lived in the Gaza envelope, which was like a buffer zone from the Israelis, which basically is just a human shield zone, because they love to use that term, so I'll use it too.
It's not a moral justification. It's just not.
Right, but I'm saying, do you understand how when you have your food cut off and you're living through a G-side, why you might resist and target civilians like they did in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
No, I don't. I absolutely understand why you would resist and fight back against the government. 100%. Absolutely. I completely understand the Palestinian motivation behind we're going to attack the IDF 100%. But attacking civilians, no. Not at all. Absolutely not. There's no logic here. There's no logic you're going to be able to walk down to get me there. Sorry.
Right. But outside of October 7th, I mean, and I'm not saying October 7th was okay either. I'm just saying I don't necessarily blame them, just like I don't blame the people in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. But outside of October 7th, they've primarily targeted military targets. And you see headlines about these so-called hostages. Some of them were civilians, in October 7th, but a lot of them now are people they say were kidnapped from a tank. In any other case, it would be called POWs.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of... I mean, ultimately, the Israel-Palestine war has been probably 80%, 20% military conflict, 80% propaganda war. Like I don't know if anybody can test that. It's more of a propaganda war than it is an actual war. That kind of goes on both sides though.
So why do you think
How it
it's
goes.
wrong to keep? Why do you think it's wrong to send weapons to Hamas when they're the only resistance group for G-side when they don't target civilians primarily, especially now?
Because primarily is doing so much heavy lifting for you in that regard. My like moral justification wouldn't be who's your main, like if you're targeting decisions where say this was the ratio for targeting decisions, say you were targeting 51% military, 49% civilian, well, you could say, well, we primarily target military assets. I still think you're a horrible person, right? But if it's
but outside of October 7th, it's been almost entirely military.
Again, almost doing a lot of heavy lifting for you. Like there's a huge
I honestly don't know of a single case that hasn't been military. I'm just saying that because I don't know if there has been.
The problem is October 7th might have just been too far. For a lot of people, like it might be the case that, like, even if, let me paint you a picture. Let me paint you a hypothetical world in which October 7th happens, and then after that, for the next couple of years, Hamas never one time ever even hurt a civilian person ever again. It never even happened again. Even in that world, it might still be the case that one event was just too far, and no one, like at least no one. Just no one's just going to be willing to supply, to morally justify supplying them with any sort of weaponry or anything.
Right. But I mean, right now, as we speak, every single day, Israel is giving them supposed aid and then going and massacring the people that go there while the Palestinians are starving. I mean, somebody has to fight back. And just
you're not going to catch me hand rigging them.
But you're
them
saying
for
it's
fighting
wrong
the
to give
IDF.
them weapons.
Yeah, generally speaking.
You think it's wrong?
They do
to
engage.
send weapons to the
in
only
terrorism.
group
Yeah.
resisting the G side.
They do engage in terrorism. Yeah.
Okay, and so did the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. I still think it would be okay to send them weapons, even after.
I also think we shouldn't be supplying. I think we shouldn't be supplying Israel either.
Right, but I mean, someone has to fight back. Why is it wrong for Iran to send them weapons?
Why? Oh, hold on. Well, let me narrow in on one thing. Why is it that their fighting back has to be shooting people?
What, do you think they're just gonna go sing Kumbaya or something?
No, I'm just this ideology comes up a lot of just they're resisting. Someone's got to fight back. Someone's got to fight. Is there a particular reason that there can't be that both sides can't get forced into a peace agreement here?
I mean, Israel's rejected it almost every time.
Well, I'm not putting the blame. I'm not saying the blame is all on Israel's to blame here too. Absolutely.
Well, that's your answer, because Israel won't agree to it. And also,
do you think it's impossible with the amount of leverage we have over that nation? You think it's impossible for the United States to force them into it?
Oh no, it could totally happen. It's also because America.
So that's what I would advocate for. But the problem is you're not going to get me to sign on to giving weapons to anyone that's going to use them to kill civilian people, regardless of how common that is. Even if you were able to say and prove to me that Hamas, for every 100 IDF members killed, Hamas only kills 3 civilians, and Israel's, for every 100 Hamas members killed, Israel kills 300 civilians to go along with it. Even with that horribly unjustified rate, or that horribly disgusting ratio, that ratio is fucked. But you're still not going to be I'm still not going to come out the other side being yeah, maybe we should just start giving weapons to Hamas. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I think so. There's no reason. I don't think there's any logical reason we can't force Israel to the table. The problem is we just fucking don't. We just don't do it. That's the issue. And I don't mean we the civilian. I don't mean we the people. We there's a lot of effort to make that happen. And Trump is the issue in this regard.
Right. So you also have a problem with the Houthis?
Yeah, I probably have at this point. At the current juncture, I probably have more of an issue with the Houthis than Hamas.
What's your problem with the Houthis?
1 second. Sorry. Sorry, I was closing the door to my room. My issue with the Houthis is that they have infinitely less moral justification for their actions. I did say I'm not going to sit here and morally justify anyone that ends up killing civilians. I'm not going to do it. Israel included, Hamas included, anyone. But that being said, there's some arguments you can make. The Houthis, however, have infinitely less moral justification to do any of the things that they do, and yet they still do them. Mostly taking hostages off ships is fucking unhinged. Absolutely can't fucking do that shit. I will say, before you do, I'm gonna lay out a bias that I might have. I don't know how much this affects my opinion here, but I'll be upfront, as I always am, about my biases. The Houthis did have a nasty little habit of shooting drones at American military vessels, or at least near them, in the area. And I was in the Navy on a ship. It was right the fuck there. Okay, so I do have a little bias of like, these motherfuckers shooting drones at us, bro. So, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe I hate them a little more than others would.
Yeah, okay. So my problem with you saying that they're taking hostages from these ships is what you have to understand is that they said that Israeli ships or ships sending products to Israel wouldn't be allowed through their waters and that anyone that came would be arrested. So these people are breaking their laws, getting arrested for it. And they've since been released. If you actually go and look at the headlines, they released
I'm not saying they haven't been released. They were held. How long were Jesus Christ. It's been a while since I've looked at any of this. A lot of the crew is like from the Philippines, maybe, or am I tripping? I don't know. Point being, they took hostages off of cargo ships. They held them for quite a while. They have released them since. I'm aware of that. Again, it's the exact. We're looping. It's the same argument. It doesn't matter what their justification is. Also saying that like they also don't have any legal claim to those shipping lanes. Like the Houthis can't just declare like nobody's coming through here anymore.
Regardless, it's not like it just randomly happened. I mean, these guys knew that the Houthis had already told them that if you come there, you're getting arrested, and they did it anyway. I mean, I
totally understand. But the problem is they don't actually have any legal authority to make that a rule, right? So like, you can't just start making up. You can't just start making up rules when you're not the person in place to make up, like, to put rules in place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Your local police department can't just start fucking making up new laws, right? That's your state legislature does that shit.
Do you think it would be wrong? Do you think it would be wrong for a group to arrest people sending ships and cargo to the Germans during World War II? Regardless of whether
it was legal or not.
Yeah. Do you think it would be wrong to stop that if you gave them a ban?
It depends. It depends on what you mean by like legally wrong. Yes. Morally, maybe not. But then whatever the consequences are for doing that, you have to accept those consequences, right? You just do.
Right. So why do you think it's wrong or morally wrong for the Houthis to do that?
Why is it? Because if it was the case, hopefully this analogy should perfectly sum up why I think this particular situation with them is wrong. Okay. Hopefully. If it were the case that the ship was owned by the state of Israel, I know it had an Israeli, one of the partial owners of the company was Israeli, right? But if it was Israeli state owned with an Israeli crew and like bringing in like Israeli supplies, then maybe our justification changes a little bit. Problem is, this crew didn't have dick to do with Israel. The people that got held hostage, or were kidnapped and fucking held for 2 years.
They did.
Okay, I'm just gonna walk past that because then we're gonna get stuck on we're gonna loop on a whole different topic.
Oh, you mean the crew or the ship?
The crew.
Right.
Is there ship workers?
Okay. Do you think it would be wrong to arrest a French crew giving supplies to the Germans during World War II?
Yes, I'm always going to say it's wrong to punish someone else for the actions of another. If you think if it like I think we can say the German example is actually really strong because we can both agree that during World War II the Nazi regime was absolutely had zero moral authority for anything. They were completely in the wrong, right? So it's a good example to go to. If it was the case that there was a French shipping crew who the Germans had ordered up some fucking supplies, ordered something, right? And it was a French crew that was sailing through that lane to bring it to them, and they were like snagged and held captive. That this is where it gets different. They were snagged by some country in the area and held captive for 2 years, regardless of whether they got released in the end. That's wrong. What you're doing is you're punishing a group of people with a pretty fucking horrible punishment for the actions of another. And that's never okay.
Right, and I can honestly probably agree that they should have just let the crew go immediately.
Yeah, if we like you and I'd be having a whole different talk right now if that was the case, but it wasn't. That gives you a look. That gives you a look inside the head of these people.
Yeah, but still, overall, what they're doing is just trying to stop supplies to go to a genocidal state.
You may think that, but it isn't. It's legally not correct, morally not correct when you start doing shit like that. When you start fucking kidnapping the crew of a boat for years and just holding them hostage, whether or not the end result is you let them go. These people just lost 2 years of their lives when they're like, it's not them you're trying to hurt. Why the fuck are you doing this?
Who do you think is the lesser evil here? The Houthis and Hamas?
It's not about lesser. I already told you I would be absolutely down to cut off us giving weaponry to Israel, right? Like I'm cool with not supplying,
right.
But it's not about, we're not weighing things here. We're just saying, should anyone be supplying this group with weapons given their actions? And with Israel, the answer I think is no. And with the Houthis, I think the answer is no.
Right. I mean, do you think so? You know that the British bombed German civilians during World War II, right?
Yeah, but that's when we talk about like proper war, there's going to be a different calculus.
So you don't think that was wrong?
I would have to look at each individual example. When it goes from like justified by war to wrong is when there's absolutely no give a fucks for this is the reason I'm like, I am much more willing to condemn Israel for the things that they do than I ever would be for like the British, right? Or even America for like nuking Japan. Even in that case, I will condemn Israel what their like Israel's today actions more than I would condemn the American actions them. Because if there's no calculus at all for what you're trying to accomplish, like in a wartime setting, meaning like we have a goal and we are going to do the minimum damage to anyone necessary to achieve this military goal, that gets looked at differently. I don't feel that that's what Israel's doing anymore. I used to I'll be honest, there was like a portion of the war since October 7th where I did think that they were doing that. I was like, it seems like they have a goal and they're just trying to accomplish that goal without causing too much damage. That thinking has left. I at no point anymore do I believe that that's what's happening here. I'm just like, oh no, you guys don't give a fuck.
But I think what you have to remember is that the British, they were carpet bombing. So you have no control over where that goes. Kind of similar.
It's not the calculus isn't. I think you're stuck in the mindset of like militants to civilians ratio. I'm not talking about any sort of ratio. Even if it was the case.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, well I'm saying even if it was the case that you dropped the bomb and it only killed civilians, you didn't fucking kill any military people at all. It might still be justified depending on what the goal was.
Right. But
like if it is the case that it's like ammo depots that you're bombing and it's all like it's only civilians in the area, the military is evacuated, but like not evacuated, but the military is like off on a mission and you bomb their ammo depots where all of their like ammunition stored and there's like it's in a civilian area and you kill a bunch of civilians, but you destroy all that. Like it's still probably justified in wartime setting in World War II.
But my whole point is that Britain, they were being bombed and carpet bombed by Germany, where Germany was just killing a bunch of British civilians. So obviously you can't expect the British to just sit there and take it. They're gonna have to do what they have to do. I don't expect
them to sit there and take it. But like the calculus massively changes depending on the context. In the context of World War II, you have a country that is actually no bullshit trying to take over the majority of Europe. And when that's the case, your calculus for what you're willing to accept changes dramatically.
Right, and Israel is trying to take over all of historic Palestine and get rid of all of the civilians in a G-side. So do you expect the Palestinians to just sit there and take it, or do you expect them to be like the British and do what they have to do, even if maybe it's not right entirely?
Now I'm just kind of confused. Now I'm just kind of confused about what you. But by the way, I've already said over and over. I don't know how many more times I got to say. I've said over and over and over and over and over and over that no, I don't blame for Hamas for fighting Israel. I absolutely don't blame them. Like I'm just like I get the justification there where they're like, we have to fight these people. Yeah, okay. You probably do. You probably do. I get it. The problem comes down to not whether or not I'm going to condemn them for doing it. It's whether or not I think anyone should be giving them weaponry given their past actions.
So do you think it would be wrong to give Britain weapons during World War II, given that they were
World War
bombing
II's
civilians?
World War II is never going to be analogous here because Germany actually was trying to conquer fucking Europe. I don't see.
Is
I don't
Israel
see.
not trying to
I don't think
conquer
Israel. No,
historic
I don't.
Palestine?
I don't see Israel as trying to conquer the entire Middle East.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're just a liberal Zionist if you don't believe that.
You think Israel's trying to conquer the entire Middle East?
Just go look at what the Israelis are saying themselves. And I said historic Palestine. They've also talked about Greater Israel. I don't think they're even going to ever be able to do that. But if you really want to go
probably
there,
not.
you can go there too.
Probably not. Regardless of like the underlying motivations on both sides, this all needs to be framed. And you're like the context we've gotten into is so different from the reality of the conversation, right? The conversation we're having is about whether or not Iran should be allowed to have a nuke because of the fear of them handing one off if they have the ability to manufacture them. They're
right.
The idea that they would. It's not in context though because there's such a huge justification difference between the prospect of handing off a nuke to Hamas versus the prospect of giving them a crate of AKs. If that's what you're doing, if that's the look, honest to God, if that's the full extent of what you're like, if it's like, hey, we're going to give you some drones or we're going to give you some machine guns. Okay, that's one conversation. But the conversation escalates so fucking far when it becomes nukes.
Okay, I never even once said that they should give Hamas nukes. I just said it's not wrong for them to give them guns, and you said it is.
Yeah, I still think it is. I think it's wrong to give weaponry to anyone who has purposely targeted civilians in the past or who has the propensity to do it. You shouldn't encourage or you shouldn't allow that kind of behavior.
But not the British.
It's different. Again, wartime context.
You don't think Palestine is in a wartime context?
I mean, they're not like a military. So, but they are in a war. I mean, they're in a war.
They are.
Yeah, they're in a war.
Who's the Palestinian military besides Hamas? Who's the Palestinian military?
No, I mean, saying like, Palestinian is also the government of the region, right? Or what did I just say?
Yeah.
Did I say Hamas is the government of the region? Or did I say I don't know what I said. Hamas is the government of the region, right? So yeah, you could say they're in a war, but there's a little bit of a difference there. I feel
it's even worse.
Also,
it's east side.
Here's another little bit of a differentiating factors. Ultimately, it all comes down to maybe if we looked at it from like the most objective stance, like obviously I'm always going to have a pro-America bent, right? Some whether it's like very small in a certain context or like it's a huge pro-America bent, that's always going to be there in some regards. So you have to kind of like watch out for your own biases, right? Maybe it's the case that if we observed World War II from an entirely neutral perspective, 100% super neutral, no bias towards any type of person, maybe I would find it immoral to supply the British with weapons. Maybe I would in a completely neutral context. I obviously am not looking at these things in a completely neutral context. So that's, then you end up in it was fine to give the British weaponry, but it's not okay to give Hamas and the Houthis weaponry. I don't know.
Right. So you think that the only reason you think that is because you have a pro-America bias?
No, I'm saying like it's how do you know, right? How do you really know like how much of how different your views would be if you could just remove that, if you could just take it out of your brain and toss it and it would be gone completely? How do you know how your views would change? I would like to think stuff wouldn't change, but do I know that for sure? Maybe not.
Yeah, I just tried to look at the logic of it. I mean, logically, it's no different what the British did to Germany than what Hamas does to Israel, except that Hamas has way less power and they're facing a G side.
Yeah, I just don't see it that way. I don't see it as not being different.
Like the British did.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
You said Britain is in a wartime context. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like you said there's no difference. I'm saying I don't see it that way. I don't see it as not being different. I think it is different. Mainly because if removing October 7th from history, like if you just took that out and it never happened, maybe then I'd be like, oh yeah, it is actually kind of quite similar. The problem is that did happen.
Yeah, I'm saying Britain did their own version of October 7th to the Germans.
Do you think that the British struck Germany first or Germany attacked Britain first?
I mean, obviously Germany attacked Britain first.
Right.
But Israel attacked Palestine way before the Palestinians ever resisted them.
Israel attacked
I
Palestine
mean, you can
way
go,
before.
yeah, you can go back to 1948.
You don't think 48 was a little bit? You think? Are you trying to compare the 48 war to World War II?
Did you just say the 48 war? Did you
Or
call the
the
Nakba
conflict?
a war?
Are you trying to compare the Nakba to World War II? Who attacked first?
Yeah.
Who attacked first in the Nakba?
It was a G-side.
Who attacked first?
Who attacked first when?
48. By the way, no, I'm
Israelis.
not. People keep asking in chat. I'm not pro-Israel. At this point, at this juncture in my life, I don't like fucking. I do not like Israel right now. I have a pretty strong
But you're
hatred.
calling it the 48 war and defending.
I just slipped up and said 48 war. I have for people in chat. I have a pretty fucking strong history of, or not history. I have a pretty strong hatred for Israel right now. They're pissing me off a lot. I'm sick of their shit. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So are you saying that the Palestinians attacked the Israelis first during the Nakba?
I'm pretty, unless I'm, well, for one, I don't know enough about that period of time to even to say one way or the other. But I don't know. I don't want to make statements one way or the other and end up being super wrong. I have no idea. I try to stay out of this fucking conflict because it's a pain. It's a huge pain in the ass. This entire conflict is a huge pain in the ass because the problem is the issue you run into with this, the issue you run into with Israel-Palestine is that at some point in time, now the argument ultimately becomes about who's correct right now, like who's more morally justified in their actions current day, and I don't know if that's it's definitely not Israel. If this is what I'm trying to say, like they're fucking unhinged at the moment. The problem you run into with trying to time travel with this conflict, like you just did, like, well, let's go back. You can infinitely go back in this region to a point. If you just want to keep going back, you run into a point in which both sides are probably equally justified in their actions.
No, you can't.
I would say you probably can.
When
the Israelis showed up to establish the state of Israel.
Right. I think that the Palestinians were right to resist in that.
I think they were right. I agree. I think they were right to resist 100%. I absolutely agree.
So that's the point we can go back to.
And but at the exact same time, the British promised that land. The British promised that land to the Israelis.
Yeah,
they said like,
all
hey,
justifications for it.
I don't know if you're aware, but sometimes in war, sometimes you go to war and you lose that war. And then when you lose that war, it is possible that your territory that belonged to you isn't going to belong to you anymore if you go lose.
So you're saying the Ottomans
lost that fucking land. The British took control of it. The British said, "Hey, we're going to get, you guys want your own state, you want a place to be, you can go and be safe. We got it for you right here. Go over there." So they went. There was people there. The people there had 100% justification to resist. 100%. Same time, people that were promised, that were given that land by the British, said, "Here, this is yours. Go there. This is where you live now, fuckers." Those same people are going to have are also going to have justification. Like, hey, this land wasn't yours. It was owned by the British. They gave it to us. It's ours now. They're going to feel the same level of justification. So when you get to the arrival of the people that are eventually created the state of Israel, you're going to end up in this weird world where you have two sides that have pretty similar justifications for their logic of, we're going to fight you.
Right, but the Israelis, it wasn't the British land in the first place. Even if
I understand, I get that. That's why I led with, the problem is people have this weird thing in their head where the understanding that sometimes when you enter a war and lose, you're going to lose your fucking land. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes you go to war and you lose the war, and now the land that was yours before you went into the war isn't yours anymore because you just lost a war. What happens? The Ottomans, they were like, we're going to go. They went to war in World War I. They got their fucking asses kicked. They lost their land. It happens. Is that in and of itself good or bad? Taking over land from another nation after you've beat them in war, is that good or bad? That's a different concept, different talk. I would say no. I think there's no. I would put it as a, what would you call it? An unequivocal no. Like, I think if a country enters a war against you, for instance, like, would I have ever been okay with us taking over Japan after World War II? Fuck no. Of course not, right? Same thing where, like, is it morally okay for the British to have taken over Ottoman territory? No, I don't think so. But they did, and that's how the world has operated pretty much forever. It's bad,
so I have something
but
to
that's
say.
reality.
Okay, so I agree. I don't think it's okay either way, but there is a difference between colonialism, which still isn't okay, and settler colonialism, which is a whole lot worse. Colonialism is like where they just take the land, like in India, but they don't want to move all their people there and turn it into India or turn India into Britain. They just want to extract the resources and make the Indians work basically as slaves to them. Like, it's not okay at all. But genocide doesn't need to be involved in that. Or settler colonialism, it's not that the Israelis just went there to immigrate and become Palestinians or bring their own culture. Well, they weren't even Israelis, but just the people at that time.
Yeah.
They went there and they wanted to establish their own state on top of Palestine in a form of settler colonialism, commit a genocide, and completely get rid of the Palestinians that were there.
If you want to do like
So that's how it started.
if you want to do the infinite like moral justification thing, like around of just like if all you wanted to do in the conversation was just like sit and hold hands and say like these people are bad, like I guess I would have been okay with doing that if I knew up front. Like I also, again, I'll say it one more time for chat, for you, for everyone. Like if we're playing who's a really bad person right now, Israel. They're really bad people. Like, well, their government.
Right, but you think it's wrong to
Netanyahu
give
might be the
weapons
worst
to
person.
people resisting
Yes,
them?
because of the way they might get used and seemed likely to get used.
Right, but you don't hold that same standard to the British.
Because the British were attacked first.
In
I know
World
you're
War
gonna say.
II.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. You're gonna be like the Israelis attacked first, and you know what? There might even be some logic there. There might even be some logic to, like maybe you should just give it to them and let them go fucking buck wild. Okay, there might be some logic to it. The point being, I'm just not there. There's not going to be a world in which I'm comfortable supplying weapons to terrorist groups. I'm not going to be okay with it ever.
Right. So do you think that the
Regardless.
British were a terrorist group?
Well, the British were fighting a war so they didn't get their country taken over. And again,
What do you think the Palestinians were doing,
you're going to do
dude?
the same thing. They're fighting so they don't get their country taken over. Sure, you might be correct. You might have something there. Maybe. Point being,
Okay, so what's
I
your
think
point?
honest to
Maybe
God,
I'm right?
the best evidence for your argument is this. I actually don't know why you haven't brought it up at all. I don't know why you haven't. The best argument for your point is the settlements in the West Bank. That is far and away the best argument for your point. You haven't even brought
Right,
it
but
up.
the settlements in like Tel Aviv were it was over Jaffa. I mean, the settlements happened way before the settlements in the West Bank.
Sure. But I'm just like the current day, the settlements in the West Bank currently are probably like the worst thing. Do you think like, what's your opinion there? You think that I'll just tell you like for me, like those settlements in the West Bank, I think are one of the worst fucking things I've ever, like they're horrific. They gotta go.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Any resolution to this conflict has to include, in my eyes, has to include the settlements of the West Bank being absolutely gone. Like, bye, see you later.
Right.
Okay.
But look,
I'm just making sure we're on the
we
same
both
page
agree
there.
that Israel attacked first.
When? Like by showing up? Is that what I'm trying to see if that's what
Yeah,
you're
by
saying.
showing up and trying to establish their own state on top of a state or a nation that was already there.
No, I don't think I would agree to that.
Okay, so explain why Palestine attacked first.
Oh, I'm not saying like, I'm just disagreeing with your justification. That's why I asked you like, I asked you like, are you saying
So
that
who do you
because
think
they showed
attacked
up
first?
I don't, who knows who fired the first,
You don't
who
know?
started the hostilities? No, I'm saying here, let me be super clear. For one, I don't know that much about this region. All I'm saying is that justification, that isn't an attack. If another country conquers land or wins it in a war,
Right, but you said that it's okay for Britain to bomb civilians because they were attacked first.
No, what
They were
I'm
fighting
saying,
a war to defend their
listen to what
land.
I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I know there's a lot of like, this whole conversation gets like super heated. People feel super strongly. I get it. All I'm saying, do not attribute anything else to what this sentence other than what comes out of my mouth. All I'm saying is that the act of showing up to build a state on land that was promised to you by a country that conquered it in a war or took it over in a war is not an attack that is worthy, that can be construed as like, well, this action right here was you attacking first.
But it was settler colonialism. It wasn't just them coming and building houses. It was them demolishing houses that were already there and building houses on top of those.
What do you think should happen?
It wasn't immigration.
What do you think should happen to nations that were like created on the back of colonialism?
I think they should give the land back.
Do you think America should, do you think America should give all the land back to the Native Americans? Just move out?
But the difference is that with Israel right now, there's a lot more Palestinians that are still alive, and it hasn't reached the full stage of settler colonialism where Palestine is basically almost gone. So it's a lot easier to do there. We should still do everything we can to make it work here in America too, but we really need to make sure that Israel doesn't reach the type of stage to where America is at now, because it's going to be way easier to get rid of the settler colonial project right now.
Okay, that's yeah, kind of a different conversation, sure. All right, let me ask you this. All right, for what I do want to say, like a lot of like the opinions for what I think should happen and shouldn't happen in this region are simply based on trying to get the fucking fighting over with, right? That's why like the West Bank settlements have got to fucking go. There's like, because when you're not going to get any sort of end to the conflict if those are still there, right? That's just not going to happen. So a lot of my like opinions on this mostly don't even derive from like any sort of morality. It's just like, okay, so we got two groups fighting. Here's what this group wants. Here's what this group wants. How can we get everyone in a position where it's done and over with? How can we get this to stop? Because mainly that'd be like the best thing. Like, can we please get this done and over with? No one needs to be shooting at each other anymore. This can't go on.
Right.
That's my main goal. That's like if you wanted me to list out the order of operations for how, for what I care about here, it's first thing is like no more shooting at each other. It's got to be done. So
right, but you're still defending Zionism when you say things like Israel didn't attack them first.
Sure, if you want to say I'm defending Zionism, fine, whatever. I don't care to argue I don't care to argue the morality of like any Zionist shit. I want it to be done and over with, fine. So if you want to say that, say it. Here's what I would say. What would you say to this? If there was a deal on the table tomorrow and this was the deal, what would you think about it? All right. First things first, obviously ceasefire. No one shoot. No one. You're all done shooting. Nobody's shooting at anybody anymore. That's done and over with. Any settlement that is outside the current territorial bounds of Israel, get either burn it down, destroy. Well, maybe don't burn it down. Maybe the houses and stuff. Like let the Palestinian people that are going to move in have those, right? Get your fucking people the fuck out of there. Okay, that's the big problem. Get all your people out of all the settlements. Get back within your own territorial borders. No one shoot at anybody anymore. No more fucking blockades. No more like holding out aid. No more any of that shit. Leave them the fuck alone. All of that, the West Bank's theirs. Like historic Palestine's theirs. It's all theirs. Leave it the fuck alone. Stop. You're done. And if both sides agreed, what would you think? Would you think that that's an okay resolution to the conflict?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think that would be way better because it would at least put a pause on it. But no, of course not. There's still a bunch of Palestinians living in within the borders of Israel who don't have equal rights. It wouldn't address that at all. The other thing is that it would still be sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. 1 second. Yeah, they still want to have their land from their historic homes. Like, and Israel would still have control over like the water and electricity and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like all that's what I'm saying. Like all of that has to come to a close. That's all done. Like one of the things I would try to bake into that scenario is all control of that land that Israel currently exerts. So like when I said like stuff like blockades and stuff, I'm talking about with resources as well, water and electricity, all of that done with. Like I'm talking Israel leaves them alone. Like they get full sovereignty. You guys, you go over there, you make your own decisions. We're done fucking with you in any way, shape, or form. That's the. I'm saying, how would you feel about that world?
You also said yourself that you don't think Israel's trustworthy. If you look back in history, you see a ton of
yeah, I don't think they're trustworthy. I think they lie a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you see a bunch of treaties that the British and Americans made with Native Americans just like that. And then we know what happened after that. So
okay, let me bake in another fucking part of this. Let's say this deal was agreed to on both sides. I just want to see what you think of the morality of the deal. Let's say it was agreed to on both sides. Exactly what I laid out to you. Israel exerts no more control over that land at all. The absolute sovereignty for the Palestinian people there. All the settlements come back. All the settlers, move out and get the fuck out of there. And neither side violates the ceasefire part. Like neither side violates this. Like this actually occurs. No violations happen here. I want to know what your opinion on that would be. You can't baking in that people follow the agreement. Yes.
I mean, obviously, like pragmatically, it would at least be good because people would stop dying for now. But I mean, that still wouldn't be morally correct. The only correct solution would be an equal state or a one-state solution with equal rights for everyone and land back to the Palestinians so that everyone can just cross the borders freely. There doesn't have to be the West Bank and Gaza apartheid.
Okay. What conditions do you think would need to be met for that to happen? Like for one state solution to actually come into fruition, for it to actually happen, what do you think would what would have to happen? What would be the things that would lead to that occurring? How do you get there? Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm American, so my main concern is only with what America does. So for one, a full arms embargo with Israel. I think if China did that too, Israel would just completely disappear due to the resistance with Hamas, and then they could establish their own state, and there wouldn't be enough weapons for all the fighting, and they could have a single state with equal rights.
Okay. Do you think that those what you just laid out, like China and America just full on arms embargo, do you think that would, like, just that alone would be enough to make it happen?
That alone would lead to the collapse of Israel.
You think?
Israel's you don't think it would?
No, well, because Israel's a nuclearly armed state, and once it comes to that last second, even if, like, let's say, I don't even think that they would lose to like the Palestinian resistance if we stop supplying them arms. I think they probably have what they need on their own. The problem is, right, like their calculations would change. I would be really afraid of that. I would be really afraid of their, like, not to say that I think we should keep giving them arms. I do not. I think I opened the conversation by saying that, right? But I think that one of the scary things you might run into there is that their calculations for how they should behave changes, right? So if all of a sudden China and America are both like all the way the fuck out, like, hey, sorry, you're not getting shit, fuck you. I think that might put it in their head like, okay, so this is what we have left. This is our manufacturing ability. These are the amount of bombs we have, the amount of missiles we have, the amount of blah, blah, blah. How can we make sure that we kill all of them with what we have remaining? And I think you start seeing not like they've already been bad. Like they're already like the way
that's what they're already doing.
I'm saying the way they behave is already not good. I think you see a 10x more vicious Israel in that world.
Right, but they would only have so many weapons to do that with.
Well, that's why I said the scary part is that's a nuclearly armed country. What do you, even if it is the case, let's say they start losing, they start getting pushed back, and it's like they're right on the verge. I mean, they're right on the verge of losing. They're like you get them to the point where they're on the verge of fucking losing the entire like state, like it's about to be done and over with. What happens now? You think they detonate?
Israel, if you could, or like all of historic Palestine, it's a pretty small area. You can't use a nuclear bomb in that area without affecting Israel too.
I know. I'm saying, do you think if Israel was actually on the verge of losing their entire state, like if it was down to like the last Israeli alive, they were like it was about to be done and over with, wouldn't you be afraid of them setting one of those off?
I mean, it doesn't really matter if I'm afraid of it. I don't.
Well, I think it should. I think you should factor in things like this to whatever solution you're pushing for, whatever solution you think you want to have happen in that region and that you are going to advocate for. Things like this should be factored in. If it is the case,
no, I don't think they would do that because they would be destroying their own area.
They would be, but you just said it. Like at that point, you said that Israel would collapse. Israel would lose to the resistance if they weren't getting weapons.
That doesn't mean all the Israelis would just die.
It doesn't need to be all the Israelis. It doesn't need to be like we. I think we can both. I think we can both agree that Netanyahu's a psycho, right? We're on board.
Yeah, but I'm not saying like even Israeli civilians. I just mean that the military would eventually be defeated. Their economy would collapse.
I'm not saying I disagree.
The Israeli state would collapse. they
I'm
still
not saying I
want
disagree.
to just make it even worse for themselves and just nuke everything.
You don't think that they would be afraid that, because I know like one of the things you point out, and you're not wrong, that in this scenario where their military starts to lose and their economy collapses, that doesn't necessarily mean that every single Israeli in the area is going to be dead. You don't think that the people though would be afraid that if they were conquered like in that way, that they would all end up getting killed?
I mean, look at South Africa. It didn't happen there.
I know it didn't happen. I'm saying, put yourself in there. I know this is hard. Put yourself into their brain. You don't think that there'd be that inkling there of like, we're all going to end up getting killed by the end of this?
I mean, that's not what's important. I don't care about how they feel.
It is important because how they feel will determine how they act. And you don't want to put a nuclearly armed country in a position where they feel like they have to use the nukes they have.
So what? You think they're going to be scared of being killed by the Palestinians?
I think that their leader, I think their leader is a psychopath, and I would not put it past him if it was the case that they were actually about to lose entirely. The state was going to collapse. They were going to be militarily taken over. I would not put it past their psychotic leader to start setting those things off.
If you're really this worried about it, I mean, I'm sure America already knows where all the nuclear sites are. They can just bomb them.
Didn't we already we covered this, right? I would if we disabled their nuclear stockpile. I don't even think I wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, yep, sure. I wouldn't fight that. Yeah. Be okay with it. Yeah, I do believe the problem is I do just like this example. This is the thing I wanted to make clear about Iran. The reason I don't want Iran having nuclear weapons is because I think that their leadership is not beyond doing something crazy with them, right? Same thing with Israel, actually. I don't think that the Israeli leadership is beyond doing something fucking insane with nuclear weapons. So if I don't want Iran to have nukes, theoretically, and not theoretically, like actually, legitimately, I'm not comfortable with Israel having them either because I don't put it past their psycho of a leader to use them.
Well, I think that's where we probably disagree because I think no matter how psychotic or whatever a leader is, most things don't happen because a certain leader is psychotic or whatever. It's based off of whatever benefits that country. And it doesn't benefit any country ever to launch a nuclear bomb because it always destroys themselves. So it only benefits them to have a nuclear bomb and not launch it just as a deterrent.
Well, the problem is, I actually agree with you. Like, no one wants to shoot off a nuke because now, we have mutually assured destruction for a reason. You shoot off a nuke, you know that you have fucked yourself and all your people. You're all fucked. Problem is, you wanting to have a nuclearly armed country get taken over. That's a different ballgame. Like, if it were the case that the United States invaded North Korea tomorrow, if we actually we put troops on the ground, we invaded them in order to conquer their country. I would say there's a very high chance they start shooting nukes off because the reason that no country wants to launch them is because they know that it would fuck them. If they're already fucked, well, your main motivation to not shoot them is just left the building. That's scary. I don't think we want to do. I don't think we want to do that on purpose.
Iran, it's not a problem. So as long as America doesn't invade Iran, it's not a problem.
No, I'm saying it's still. Like, you don't want anyone to have, this is a problem. Like, I don't know how I can make it more clear. You don't want any, you don't, but the problem is when you can stop it, I think it's probably a good idea to stop it. When you can have a country that currently doesn't have them, that has no nuclear weapons, and then continue that, make it to where they continue to not have them. That's a different thing than taking a country that does have them and striking them in order to get rid of them.
Do you think that 1 million Iraqis would be dead from the Iraq war right now if Iraq had nuclear bombs before that?
If they actually had them?
Yeah, if they actually had them.
No.
Right.
That's not a counter to what the point I'm trying to make. That's just that is a war we should have absolutely not, we behaved horribly there.
No. Obviously, it shouldn't have happened.
If it was the case that they were on the verge of creating a nuke, then I would say it's the same thing I would say with Iran. Exact same thing. I've said this 10 times since the strike the other day, right? And I'll stand firm by this literally forever. Just only striking the nuclear facility to get rid of their capacity to build nuclear weapons, I'm okay with that. I am literally okay with zero beyond that. Any further, and I'm off the train. Like, if it were the case, the problem with Iraq wasn't, we got to stop them from getting nukes. It was the behavior involved. If it were the case that Iraq was 2 days away from putting the finishing touches on a fucking nuclear, on an ICBM with nuclear capabilities, then I would say we should strike the facility that's allowing them to get there.
That wasn't my question. I was saying that if Iraq had actually had nukes,
Yeah, then there would
then we wouldn't have to worry about
it changes
that.
everyone's
They wouldn't have to worry
behavior.
about that.
Yeah, everyone's behavior
Yeah.
changes. Yeah, because you don't
And then
you don't fuck with a nuclear
Iraqis
armed
would still be
country.
alive. Right, a million Iraqis would still be alive had they actually built the nukes instead of just letting America bomb them.
I understand what you're saying. I think you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying the problem the problem was never stopping Iraq from getting nukes. It was going beyond. The problem was going beyond that. Going this next step further was where the fuck up happened.
Right.
Like right now, I'm okay with what we did with Iran. I'm fine with it. But if we invaded Iran tomorrow, I would be so fucking not okay with it. So not okay with it.
Right, I agree. That's why I think Iran should have a nuclear bomb so that they won't be able to get invaded in the first place.
Should every country have a nuke, you think?
Every country that's a target of American imperialism should.
With your ideology, wouldn't you think that every single country is technically a target of American imperialism?
Yeah, then sure, it probably would be better
if every country had nukes.
Not every country, not Israel, not.
Okay.
But yeah, every country that's a target of American imperialism should have a nuke.
Okay. There was an off ramp there where you could have just said no country should have them.
That's not realistic. I mean, obviously that would be ideal, but that's not going to happen.
So that's ideal, but not realistic, and yet every country having them is ideal and realistic.
It's not ideal, but it is realistic. It's better than over a million.
Well, it's only realistic. It's the only way it's realistic is if somehow every single, at least Western nation at the very minimum, and actually some non-Western nations like China and Russia aren't going to put up with this shit either. If every single country completely changes the way they view everything, you'd have to change the way every nation views the world to make this happen. So I don't think it's realistic. It's not even close to realistic.
You would just have to not get involved in other countries.
Yeah, but you'd have to have every single country not get involved in every other country. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you think Russia would react? Like, let's put our minds into Putin's head. How do you think Russia would react if like Zelensky was putting the finishing touches on a nuke?
Yeah, I think that would be good. If they hadn't given up their nukes, they probably wouldn't be in a war right now.
I totally can agree. But I'm saying right now, today, right this second, how do you think if Russia got intel that Zelensky and the Ukrainians were putting the finishing, they're about a week away from having a functioning.
He would probably bomb them, but he's already bombing them. So I mean, what you're saying they shouldn't do that so they don't get bombed?
I'm not saying this isn't a moral argument. I'm saying when you do this, when it's like, oh well, just let every country have them. What you end up with is just like World War III, but like an infinite World War III, where it just never stops because every single time a country that is afraid of another country, when Ukraine's like on the verge of getting their nukes up and running, Russia's gonna fucking go in there every single time and just evaporate their shit. Same thing with Israel and Iran, right? Same thing with us and fucking Iran, right? It's just, you just end up in this perpetual spinning wheel, and the only way out of that is to let everyone get nukes. But the problem is the only way to let everyone get nukes is for every country to not think that way. And so what I'm saying is I'm not actually making a moral judgment. I'm not making a moral judgment on whether it'd be good or not. I'm saying it's just not going to happen. It's just the realism here is so far out in la la land.
That's ridiculous. You don't need another country's permission to build a nuke.
No, you don't. But you have to factor in how your enemies or your rivals or however you want to phrase it, maybe even neutral countries too, are going to react to that. That's why I use the Ukraine-Russian example, right? Like Ukraine doesn't need Russia's permission to build a nuke. Of course the fuck not. They're sovereign. They're sovereign for now. Russia would like them to not be. But they don't need permission. But the problem is, as soon as they get word that they're doing it, it's all bets are off. Same thing. It's going to be the same thing across the whole world.
Right.
You don't like. Basically, what I'm saying is, I just absolutely do not understand how you, in what world you think having living in a world in which every nation has nuclear weapons is just good at all.
I mean, it's honestly kind of hard to argue this without using specific examples. Like, it's a lot easier to argue on a case-by-case basis. But like with Iran, if they had just built a nuke
in secret
in the first place, Yeah, in secret or whatever.
Yeah, I think they would have a good justification.
They wouldn't
The
be
thing is,
getting
like,
bombs.
I don't know if, like, what you understand. Like, I'm kind of both sidesing this. The problem is I'm not both sidesing it to be offensive. I'm both sidesing it because I absolutely get the justifications on both sides. For Iran, I absolutely sympathize and totally get why they want one. And with America, I absolutely understand why we don't want them to have one.
Why do you think we don't want them to have one?
Well, it's the same reason I said I wouldn't want them to have one at the moment.
Why not?
I'd be afraid of how they'd use it.
How would they
But
use
the problem
it?
is I'm afraid of how every country would use it. It's not Iran specific. That's what you're trying. You're trying to like pin me down to like, why you don't want them to have one. I would be afraid of any nation because I'm just afraid. Like what happens when you have someone go off the fucking rails and shoot one off?
Yeah, no,
now we're all fucked.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I'm even more afraid of is like 1 million Iranians dying just like 1 million Iraqis died. So I'm afraid of that.
The solution to that is make sure, because it would have to be, can we agree, like, Israel versus Iran with no American involvement does not end with 1 million dead Iranians, right? I think we can both, assuming no one shoots any nukes. Like, Israel just doesn't have the capacity. I'm saying, like, Israel just.
With Iraq.
I'm saying let's say zero American involvement. America stays all the way the fuck out of it. But Iran and Israel go to war with each other full out. And it's 1v1. No support from anywhere else. All right. Like, I don't think it ends the same way, right? It doesn't end the Iraq war way, right?
I mean, it would still be a war. It would still be
Sure,
bad.
it would be a war and it would be bad, right? But I mean, you said earlier your main concern, because you're an American, you're concerned with America's behavior, correct? So am I.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with the behavior of
I'm
America.
saying I don't want them to bomb Iran.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Because
don't
I think
want
what you're also
them to bomb
leaving
Iran either.
out is that bombing nuclear sites is really dangerous. If they did have a bomb, you don't know what's going to happen with it. It could cause radiation regardless.
Yeah, maybe. Want to be the judge and conqueror of the world, being afraid of weapons we ourselves have used once.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but
only
the
country
problem
that's
is
ever
the
used a
problem is
bomb
we
is
used them
ours.
once, and now we know. Like, well, I mean, we knew then what they were gonna do, but now we've all seen it. We've all seen what happens when you shoot one of those off. No, I think it's the difference between, like, you said you'd be. Now, maybe this is just because you're doing a different, like, practicality analysis in your mind. But in my perfect world, I would say it would be much, much, much better if no country, zero countries had nuclear weapons versus all countries having nuclear weapons. I would be much more on the side of no one having them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah.
But do you really think that's ever going to happen?
Well, no, America will never give them up. But also, like,
Yeah.
America would never give them up. Israel would never give them up. The UK would never give them
Yeah.
up. China would never give them up. Russia would never give them up. Any country that has them now is not fucking. India's never,
Right,
like,
I
it's not
agree.
happening.
That's why
Yeah.
that would never happen. But it is possible for Iran to build a nuclear weapon.
And
so
I
they
wouldn't
don't have
fault
a
them. But
war.
again, it was same thing. I wouldn't fault them for it. If we found, if 6 months from now, and actually,
Yeah, but you're okay with bombing them for it.
I'm okay with preventing them from getting them, but I also I'm okay with that because I don't want anyone else having nukes that doesn't have them now. So if we have the opportunity to prevent another country from getting nuclear weapons, I think we should prevent another country from getting nuclear weapons. That applies to all countries, not Iran, all of them, every single country. If we ever find out that a country is on the verge of a nuke, we should do something to stop that from happening, right? But if Iran were to build one in secret and then 6 months from now, we see them doing nuclear tests, not only would I not be surprised, honestly, because we've kind of put them in that position to where, like, that's probably the only way they're ever going to get one is just do it in secret, because no one's going to, at this point, nobody is going to agree to let them do it. So it's going to have to be in secret. And then secondly, I wouldn't criticize the motives there. I would be like, I understand why you wanted one, and I understand why you did what you did. You were like, you did what was best for your people. I get it. You should always do what's best for your people. I understand.
Right. But I just don't think it's ever okay for America to go get involved and say, you can have a nuke, you can't.
I also kind of agree with that, sort of, but not for I agree with you, but we don't agree for the same reasons. I don't think America should be getting involved in literally anything ever at all for any reasons directly. You're probably talking about involved at all. I don't want to ever be directly involved in literally anything unless it's, like, absolutely mandatory. For instance, like if like the UK were to get invaded, I think we should get involved directly. We should go do something about that. But barring something like that, barring like a NATO country being invaded, I don't think we should ever be involved. But I assume what you mean is literally in any capacity at all, right?
I mean, I wouldn't trust them, even if it was right. I mean, I think the one case where it was good was with the Nazis. But aside from that, no, they shouldn't get involved
Yeah.
unless they want to turn on Israel, which they're not going to do.
You actually like if like for instance, if like Russia started like making their way like around the entire continent and just start picking off countries one at a time, just like kind of, you know, German style, just started fucking conquering lands, you don't think we should involve ourselves?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're on the wrong side of that necessarily, but I don't trust America to stay involved. They're already talking about extracting natural resources from Ukraine.
Yeah, well, that's Trump.
you saw what
I
Trump
also,
did.
yeah, that's Trump. I hate him too. So I don't, you know, sure,
But if
we
you
can
look
agree
back
there.
at, like, if you look back at the Democrats, they were doing they were proposing some of that same stuff. They just don't say the quiet part out loud. So, I mean, in that case, it's either Ukrainians dealing with Russian imperialism or American imperialism. And in this specific case, the American imperialism is probably a bit better. But is it worth continuing a war where people are dying every day? I mean, I don't. That's for the Ukrainians to decide. But I don't think we should keep.
I'm not even like.
Sending weapons there.
I'm not even talking about like about the current situation in Ukraine. I'm saying like if it got worse than that, like if it. I'm trying to test the limits of your America should never involve themselves theory. Like if say they completely beat Ukraine out, where there is just no, like they take over the entire country, and that is now Russian territory, and then they move on. Let's say they hit the next country, and then the next country, and then at what point do you say, okay, America needs to, you know, put boots on the ground and put a stop to this shit?
I mean,
how far does it have to go?
I don't trust America to do anything right.
Never.
The only time I'd say it's okay is if it's a genocide. Even then, I still want to trust their motives, but if they're doing the right thing, I'm not going to go against that.
Okay. So basically never is the
What
answer.
Russia's doing is bad, but it's not genocide, you know?
Yeah, okay. All right. That feels insane to me, to be clear. That feels nuts. That like you'd be okay with, or like you like there's, if Russia continued on and just conquering country after country after country, say they were like 4 deep, they'd entirely conquered like 4 more countries, you would still not want America coming in.
I'd be more in favor of them like just selling weapons to people so they can defend themselves.
Even does this logic apply even if they invade and conquer a NATO country too?
I don't care about NATO.
Okay,
countries.
so yeah, I just want to say so if I just want to see if you had any principal difference between a NATO country and a non-NATO country. Okay, but
No, I see this is bad.
okay, so one of the things I pick up there, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then I do have to go. I actually had to go like an hour ago, but this is kind of interesting to talk about. One of the things I noticed there was like you have such a deep distrust of America that you don't believe that they're ever going to handle anything properly, the proper way, and yet you are okay with America making, like, I feel like, so you're basically saying you're like America just in general, the nation as a whole, and the people that run it have just such bad moral character that you're never going to trust their decisions. And yet you'd be principally okay with us making a promise to another nation. We promise them something and then deliberately not following through. Like, and that's not to say that we've never done that. Of course the fuck we have. But I'm saying you'd be cool with it. Because the reason I wanted to ask you about a NATO country is that when we signed, like when another country joins NATO, that is us making a promise to them saying, if it is the case that you are invaded or directly attacked, we are obligated by treaty to come to your aid. That is a promise we are making you. And you're saying, yeah, I would be okay with us breaking that promise every time. Crazy.
Yeah, because NATO was like originally formed just to fight communism and stuff. It wasn't really about protection even as much. If you actually looked at what happened in Ukraine,
the problem is it literally does not matter what it was. It doesn't matter what the treaty was initially designed for. When countries join NATO now, when someone comes in, that's still the promise. The promise is the promise is the promise. It doesn't matter what the original motivation was when it was first signed. When you join, if you join NATO right now, if you're a country that's not currently in it and you join, the promise that we're making you, the whole Western world is making you a promise to say, if you are ever attacked directly, we will come to your aid. That's what we're saying. That's what we're telling you right now we're going to do. And your issue with the issue that you have with a lot of America, things that America does is you just think America is fundamentally bad, and so they're not going to handle anything properly. And yet you're advocating for a fundamentally immoral position of promise someone something and go back on your promise on purpose every time. Why? What?
Okay, I don't think that America is bad because it's like inherently like morally wrong.
It's just you're going off history, right? You've seen mistake after mistake after mistake, and
I
you've
think it
lost trust.
generally does what's in its best interest, which sometimes turns out to be the right thing, like in the Nazis, and sometimes it's bad. Or almost all.
I understand that logic. Yeah, it's just a history-based argument. But then there's ways in which I sympathize. I get it. But what I want to narrow in on is how can you advocate and argue for an inherently immoral position of we should be lying and deceiving other nations on purpose? Like that's what we should be doing.
It's not about that. I think we just should leave NATO and not get involved in other countries
that would be
at
different.
all.
Yeah, if we left and then we'd no longer have to uphold the promise because we're not in. But so long as we are, do you think we should keep our promises?
No, I think we should just stay out of it. But honestly, it's hard to just say this hypothetically. It would all depend on the situation. If Russia turned into like a genocidal state overnight, which there's no reason to think that they would, then yeah, it would make sense. But that's not happening.
So genocide is the only logical excuse to ever involve ourselves in anything.
Yeah, as of right now, like with the current American government, yeah. And even then, I wouldn't necessarily trust them. But if they're doing the right thing, I'm not gonna like go against that.
Okay.
But historically, they've been used. I mean, they've done their own genocides more than they've fought genocides.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to fundamentally disagree with that. I think I think you, as a nation, you should uphold your promises. Not again. I understand that we haven't in the past, but that's not a good argument for why you shouldn't going forward, right? We've promised other countries that we'd protect them if they were invaded, and we should. If it is the case that a friend, like I use the UK example, that's like super unrealistic. It'd be fucking ridiculous to invade the UK. But if someone did, then we should come to their aid 100%. I think we promised them we would, so we should.
The UK has nukes, so they don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, they have nukes, but no one wants to. I mean, I think we covered this earlier. No one wants to use them. So if it's a thing that can be fought off with soldiers and guns, then do it.
Right. That's my point. I just think if a country's really that worried about getting invaded, they should just have nukes instead.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta head out. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Oof. I fucking can't. I do not like the fucking Middle East conversations. I don't like it. The reason I don't like conversations like that is because there's too many logical justifications for different things. And people latch onto one. Right? People will latch onto one. People latch onto like the Palestinian, like their reason for fighting, which again, they have a really good reason to fight. Like the Palestinians have an incredible, impeccable reason to fight Israel. They absolutely do. People latch onto that and then start ignoring anyone else's justifications for any of their behavior. I'm like, well, come on. Like you tell me you don't understand. Like it's like you don't understand why like America wouldn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Like that doesn't. There's no like you can't think of any reason whatsoever why we wouldn't want that to be the case. Seems kind of obvious. So of course we don't want that to be the case. But then it goes the other way. Of course, Iran wants to have them, and they have a really good reason to want to have them. They have an incredible, impeccable reason to want to have nukes. Of course they do. I don't know. There's just like every nation has their justification for why they behave the way they do, and a lot of times if you look at it, you'll be like, okay, well that makes sense. That's a good justification for you. Your justification for the way you're behaving makes sense to you for your reasons. And then the only time it ever gets what I feel is a little bit more obvious, a little bit less nuanced, and a little more just clear as day is when you go really far, like when you start going like well far beyond how far you needed to go to accomplish your goals. You know, you have a goal in mind. This is what you want. What do you have to do to achieve it? And then you start going really far beyond what you need to do to achieve your goal. That's when it starts getting different. That's when it's like, oh, okay. You're just insane. Got it. Nazi Germany, great example, right? Like, oh, you guys are just fucking crazy. Got it. Understood. And then that's how I feel about Israel nowadays. I didn't always. First like couple months of the conflict, I was kind of like, I see both sides here. I see both sides. Now I'm like, Israel, you guys are fucking crazy. Why? Stop. Knock it off. Quit. I told this story on stream the other day. My point where I turned, the point where I turned against them and I was like, oh, I'm done with you guys. Like, you guys are fucked out of your head, is when Trump got elected and there was like a literal visible, like I was already hesitant before, like for months before that, I was like, these guys are kind of nuts, right? Where I completely flipped the switches when Trump got elected, and you could literally see on the day of the election when Trump was announced as the winner, like their entire behavior, like Netanyahu's entire demeanor and behavior changed like that on the day. We're like, oh, we're cutting off all aid. We're sending out fucking 10. We're going to send out 15 strikes tonight to just bomb like every city in the area. I'm like, oh, okay. You're fucking psycho. Got it. So, yeah, fuck Trump. He caused it. I'm kidding. Netanyahu's the problem. I don't see. Can we do odds real quick before I get off? I do have to get off stream. Like I have to be gone within probably like the next 45 seconds. Real quick before I go, can we do odds real quick? And we do everybody post in chat on a scale of 1 to 100, obviously. The percentage chance that you think that Netanyahu goes to prison after he's done as prime minister. After the war is over and he's done being prime minister, what are the odds he goes to some prison somewhere in some form? And I'm talking realistically, not whether or not he should. Yeah. So Kelly said it. What I hope or what I think. Not what you want to happen. Give me what you believe will happen in real life. What you think is going to occur. Give me odds 1 to 100 right now. I want to see where you guys are all at. What do you think's going to happen? 15, 0%. 0%, 100%. Jospin, really confident. Zach, 0%. Okay. Lynette, 100 or 10%. Sorry, I read that as 100. 10%. Okay. 99 from Vanilla. 0 to 10. I would put mine at about 10. Yeah. I would say 10. Yeah. 0%. Yeah, I would say 10. I'd say there's a very, 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 very tiny ass little bitty chance. Yeah. Mainly because it would have to be the Israeli government. It'd have to be the next Israeli government that either put him in jail in Israel, which I don't see that happening. That I think that's 0. But it would have to be the Israeli government, the next Israeli government after him, handing him over to like the ICJ or something. Like he would have to be handed over. And I don't think so. I don't see it. More likely he passes in power. Yeah, he will. Pretty much every single member of the Knesset has already come out. I was reading their statements the other day. Like a huge chunk of the Knesset have like come out and be like, to be clear, when this war is over, he's out of here. Like he's gone when this war's done. But then that leads me to go. Then I sit there and I go, okay, why did you say it like that? Why did you say when the war is over? Why are you saying it like that? Because what does that mean? When is the war over? Why are you fucking talking like that? Why aren't you putting a date on it? Weird, right? Weird. I don't know. I don't like talking about Israel because I don't like them. But the problem, I don't like these fuckers. But the problem is, the thing that gets me in trouble is that I don't hate them as much as other people do. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't hate them in the same way that other people do. A lot of the people I talk to on here, I think like that last guy, like the end goal was like they should all, like the country should get taken over, which will very likely lead to at least the vast majority of Israelis being killed. I hate that. I hate the way they behave, and I hate their government. I fucking hate that Netanyahu motherfucker. Okay. But I'm not that extreme. I don't want the people of Israel dead. No, of course I don't want that. That's crazy. I don't want that to be the case. Now, if Netanyahu were to get, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to Fed post on myself right now. I'm not Fed posting, but if there was one Israeli that wanted to get killed, I don't think I would. I wouldn't cry. Anyway, look, I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, it's a horrible conversation to have because the problem is I do hate their government and I hate who leads them. But I don't hate the whole country to the point where I want them all to die. And I feel like a lot of the people, you guys know who I'm talking about. A lot of these types do want them all to die. And that feels fucking nutso to me. That feels crazy. Like that last caller, there was some things he said where I was like, I think you just want them all dead. And that makes me feel very uncomfortable because that seems like literally fucking insane to me. There's like a couple Israelis that I wouldn't mind if they, but not all of them. My God, crazy. Anyway, look, I'm off. I'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate you guys being here. It was so awesome. LH867, you were the last person to send a gift. Thank you for the 103 roses, LH. Fucking goated. You're all goated. Oh, by the way, I needed to point this out. Picky J, this happened while I was in this last conversation. Picky J subbed. Not only did Picky, hold up, I gotta talk about this real quick before I get off. Not Picky J. Not only did Picky J 528 subscribe, he subbed, or she. Picky J talking. If you're here still, talk in the chat so we can see who you are. But Picky J, they not only subbed, they subscribed for a year. They preemptively subscribed for a whole year. Picky J, you're fucking goated with the sauce. Thank you. Absolutely goated. Thank you so much. Seriously, no one has done that. I've literally not seen that before. I didn't even know that was an option because I've never seen it before. I didn't know you could sub for multiple months. But Jesus, thank you. Anyway, that's a crazy W. I know that's wild. Yeah, wanting an entire population to perish is wild. I know, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, it's fucking unhinged. They don't want no genocide. They want Israeli genocide, apparently. Yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, I don't like that. Like it's a genocide. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you propose? Like I agree. Like this needs to be stopped. Someone needs to step in, preferably America, because we have so much leverage over Israel. We just don't use it. We don't use our leverage that we have. But theoretically, in my perfect world, America would step in and put a stop to this shit. And I usually I ask people, I'm like, well, what do you think that looks like? What do you want that to look like? And then his answer was like, yeah, the state of Israel completely gone. Allow the Palestinians to win the war against them and take over the country and blah blah and all that. I'm like, whoa. Like that's gonna end like that. If that goes down, that results in like most, if not whole, Israelis getting killed, right? Like that's how that ends. And I think that's nuts. I think that's crazy. Anyway, that's all. That's why I don't like that conversation, because it's like I'm willing to go pretty far to say like I don't like these fucking people and their behavior is abhorrent and it needs to be done and over with, and America should be the ones to come in and stop it because we can. But that's just never far enough for people, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, look, guys. Thanks for being here. If you're not following, the unfortunate aspect of it is how Israel was created 50 plus years ago, and now we have to figure out what's right. Yeah, it's fucked. Anyway, look, thanks for being here. If you're not following me, click the follow button before we leave. Click it right now. And I'm out. Okay? See ya. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye. See you later. Bye. See you later. Bye. Have a great day. Bye. Click the follow button before I end the stream. I'm about to end the stream right now. And I'll be back tomorrow, by the way. If I missed you today, but you do have a disagreement with me that you want to talk about, come back tomorrow. Request to join. I'll bring you up and we'll hash it out. Okay? See ya. Bye. All right, YouTube and Twitch people. It's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I will go back. I would say it hasn't been real fun. I don't like that conversation. I think that's probably like the last one of those I'll have until something like big happens, until something that like massively shifts my position happens. That's when I'd be willing to have that conversation again. If something that like happens that massively changes my position on things, then I think I'd have the conversation again probably. Right now, my position is just that I think America should step in and make Israel stop, like whatever form that takes. Besides, like going to war with them, that won't be necessary. We have so much fucking leverage there. If Trump just uses the leverage, he can pretty much accomplish whatever he wants with them. But yeah, I think it's time for. It's been time for a long time now. But I think at this point, America steps in and just makes them quit. Like, hey, you are fucking done. Okay, we're gonna put a deal on the table, and here's what this deal looks like. You're gonna pull all your settlers back into your borders. No more settlements. That shit is long done. Like that's over with. No more of that. You're gonna relinquish control of everything. You're gonna no more blockades. You're done with that. No more controlling their water and power. You're done with that. Okay. They're gonna take that land right over there. They're gonna live how they want to live, and you're gonna treat them like a sovereign nation that borders you. Meaning, if it is the case that they attack you in the future, You know, if you leave them entirely alone, you let them do their thing, and eventually one day they launch an attack against you, you can declare war on them like any other country. But for now, you're going to stop controlling their lives. You're going to let them be sovereign, have their elections, do whatever they want to do. It's their country now. Get the fuck out. And if they attack you again later on, we'll figure that out when that comes. But for now, you're done. That's what I think should happen. That's my opinion. But until something massively shifts my position, something occurs where I completely change my mind on that, or I don't know, something big goes down, that's my position on the fucking war over there, the situation over there, and that's it. I'm done talking about it. It's fucking goofy to talk about it when the fucking one person probably in the whole planet that could actually like do something humongous to put it. I mean, other than Netanyahu, he could stop it if he wanted to, but he doesn't. But the one person on planet Earth that can probably put a forceful end to things just refuses to. Go scream at him. I'll do it. I'll go scream at him for not putting a forceful end to things. Fuck him. Fuck Trump. Anyway, see you guys. Been fun. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye. See you later. Bye.